do. And if it goes live while I'm still getting situated,
I think we are live.
just feel free to take the bull by the horns there. Well,
All right. Got D-Runk Comics. I am a guest of Comic Head 84, and we're fixing to go through our top 5 DC Comics live-action movies. Does not have to be isolated to the current DCEU, but it's got to be some sort of situation where it's real actors in front of a camera.
That's right. Live action, sir. Not animated. We're talking real people in tights, baby. And DC has put out, I think, a respectable stack of movies over the years. And, it's time to count them down, eh, D-Rock?
Let's do it.
Shout out to the chat. My man, Hard Times, the data himself, Genome presents. We have liftoff. You bet your sweet ass we do, Genome. Perry Comics, my man. I'm always bumping into Perry Comics. He's a good egg for sure. Bake the Snake, my man. How we doing, brother? What's shaking on your end? The Model Vault, who did an epic submission to my contest video.
Okay.
Where not only did he show books for what I was looking for, but he had a little statue or figurine thing that went with each pick. It was freaking dope, dude. Sweet Batmobile replica. Berg Nasty 54. What's up, sir?
All right, so
yeah.
So we're doing a top 5, is that correct?
Yeah, top 5. Top 5, and I think let's before we get balls deep in this list, if you will, I think why don't we just kind of get acquainted with the chat? Let's let some people show up. Talk about the ground rules because there are some guidelines here.
Oh, we just got discovered.
We just got discovered. Discovery Day is the best. What up, Comic Heads? Oh, Discovery. Make sure I don't forget. I have a video that I'm going to drop tomorrow that if you could let people know. It's keep an eye out for it, guys. It's going to be called The Saddest CGC Unboxing Ever. So stay tuned for that.
I've already been privy to the synopsis of this video, and I'm looking forward to checking this one out.
Yeah, it's a tough one, guys. What time? Good question. I think it's already uploaded, so I just gotta schedule the release. So, I'll if you don't hear from me for whatever reason, just say sometime in the morning.
Sometime in the morning.
Yeah. Unruly Simeon is the man. Does Unruly Simeon make videos? I don't know. I don't think so. He should.
One way to find out.
If he doesn't, he probably should because he's got good insight. He leaves some of the more legit comments on my videos and in people's chat. Unruly Simeon just seems to know what's going on. Jeff Hermenegildo, the Boo Sounds return. What a joke.
Unruly Simeon does, and he also did a Comic Head 84 contest video as well. So you would best get acquainted with that.
Hold on. Am I slacking?
You might be.
Oh, 1 day ago. No shit. My man.
Unruly, I just subscribed to your channel.
Oh, me too.
Check out your stuff. You better keep it rolling, man. I like to get caught up.
Oh, so all right. So I'm not a total asshole. He only has 2 videos and he just started making them. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was bugging. I'm like, I felt like I checked a while back. Oh, that is awesome. So he made contest videos. Nice. I like it. Mr. Metarog in the house, the pillar of the contest community.
Metarog won my contest.
He did.
Oh yeah. He got.
Do you know what that line was that Jeff dropped in the chat earlier? He said, "The booze hounds return." What a joke! You know what that's from?
I do not.
That's Weird Science, baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Weird Science is full of quotables. All right, guys.
Unruly Simeon's getting some subscribers out of this. There you go.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I can already tell from his comment game. I can tell that his video game is going to be some top shelf stuff, you know. So, D-Rug, we put some lists together, haven't we?
We have
the top 5 DC films, and we're not talking DC universe, so not, you know, just any movie that's come out that was an adaptation of a DC Comics property.
that. Hey, it's going to be good. I'm still my top 2. I've yet to decide on.
Dude, I'm with you. Not on the top 2 though. My top 2, I knew what time it was. It's my number 5. I still don't know. I'm like between a couple movies. Let me just open this up. I gotta warn you guys. This list is probably gonna be straight up blasphemous to many people. So, warning right off the bat. I want to make a distinction that I didn't pick, because at first when I started putting this list together, I found myself making a list of like the most important DC comic movies. And I had to course correct and be like, nah, this is a list of my favorite, most enjoyable DC movies, you know? So, not if they were important to the genre or what have you. So, just the shit that I liked. Okay. So, I guess without further ado, you want to we should get to the list, starting with number 5, yes?
Yes. Who's going first, you or me?
I think you should.
All right. Let me get over to my list. Yep, that's what I thought. All right. My number 5 favorite movie for the DC EU or DC live action movies is Superman, the original Superman. You'll believe a man can fly.
You will believe a man can fly. Kinda.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? This movie has sentimental value, though. You know, I love Superman. That's my favorite superhero.
Yes.
And you know, if I hear Superman's voice in my head, I'm hearing Christopher Reeve. You know, that's just all the way that's the way it works for me. And I don't know. I just thought it was a good movie. You know, it was. I don't know if it holds up as much, you know, for being a great movie right now. But obviously, you know, special effects were limited back then.
Yeah.
But I watched it all the time as a kid. You know, and that's the movie that my dad showed me to make me really love Superman. And yeah, this movie holds a special place in the heart. And this is my number 5.
Number 5, original Superman. And I actually watched it recently because with this list, I feel like I should have watched. It would have benefited me to like rewatch a lot of these movies, you know. But what I did though was I kind of like revisited some of them, the ones that I had available to me off of either like, you know, Netflix or what do you call it? The DC app or whatever.
Yeah.
Which for some reason has Superman 1, but not Superman 2. I'm like, what the fuck? That DC app is like, it's something else, too. That thing is trash.
Yeah, they definitely need to have some development in there. Bake the Snake, I almost put RoboCop in there as well, but it's not a DC property. But I will tell you that the RoboCop theme music is my ringtone for my cell phone. If you get my
Oh,
digits and you give me a ring, I have a hard time answering because I listen to that RoboCop theme music.
oh,
That's my
dang.
ringtone.
And technically, because I have RoboCop #1, the comic issue,
Okay.
and I'm trying to remember. I think it is. I think it is DC, but it wasn't a DC property originally. You're saying?
Genome Presents point out something. If anyone that hasn't seen the fan made Hulk versus Superman CGI short, it is amazing. It shows Christopher Reeve's Superman fighting the Incredible Hulk, and the dude's been making it over the last like 5 years, and you can tell that his CGI game is really picked up over the last 5 years. And the most recent entry is just freaking incredible. You got to check that out next time you get a chance. It's like 8 minutes out of your life, but it's damn good.
No shit, huh?
Oh yeah, dude. I'll text it to you.
Yeah, because I never heard of that. The one thing about sorry, there you go. Yeah, fuck it. Sorry, I was trying to do some fancy shit. Now that Superman movie, yeah, I did breeze through that one recently. You're right. Like the CG effects, they do take me out of it a little bit. The storyline, Lex Luthor's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, Gene Hackman is phenomenal in that.
Yeah, what do you call it? His lackey. It's very slapsticky. It's more slapstick than I remember.
Otis.
It's but there are some funny scenes, like when he's in the library and he discovers that kryptonite might kill Superman, might have an adverse effect on him, right?
Yeah.
What I thought was funny was so it was like the 1970s version of Google, right? He has the big wall of books, library style, with the ladder, and he's like, go to the L's or whatever, the K's, and the guy has to move the ladder over to the K section of the books. And I'm like, dude, that's old school Googling. That was pretty ridiculous.
No, it was cool though. I mean, it had its little cheesy reverse time thing that I don't. That's not how time travel works. But yeah, no. Watching the interactions between Lois and Superman were amazing. You know, the watching the difference in Clark Kent versus Superman, where he just played a total buffoon, made a lot of sense. The whole thing, man. Watching him struggle with, not being able to save his dad, was really cool. And it's just a damn good movie.
Yeah, the dad was a good character. I just want to make sure that, the Christopher Reeves portrayal of Superman, gets its respect, because I'll tell you, spoiler alert, Christopher Reeves did not make my list. Which I know there might be some blasphemy on there, but I just wanted to make sure that, I give it the proper respect, because while I think his act, any kind of action scene with Christopher Reeves as Superman, is unimpressive to me. It's just, I'm sure the limitations of dangling around on wires and shit,
Yeah.
But what scene really I liked a lot and almost made it get onto the list once I finished watching the scene where Lois Lane interviews Superman on that balcony.
Yeah.
And they kind of being coy and stuff, and he takes her for the flight around town, and then immediately shows up as Clark Kent at her apartment afterwards.
Yeah.
What
You
up,
gotta be
Mr.
kind
D?
of dumb.
Comic Chief. Welcome. Those moments I really appreciated and almost made the list, but So respect. Number 5. My number 5 pick is also the boy in blue, Man of Steel, Superman. Which, I mean, it's my favorite Superman movie. I think I enjoyed it. The thing about that movie is, in my relationship to that movie, is I don't have like a strong childhood connection to Superman, right? So because a friend of mine who's diehard Superman fan, that movie really annoys him because of some of the inconsistencies, like the killing of Zod, the destruction of the city. Is something that a lot of people point out as just really counterintuitive to Superman as a character, which I get that. One thing I also noticed is that every movie on this list is flawed in some way, So I kind of had to accept that fact of like each movie, even my number 1 movie, has, in my opinion, a major flaw in it. But, I'm yet to see a perfect DC movie. In the Superman flaw, I agree. It's kind of reckless that it almost looks like a disaster movie at some points in it. But I loved the Smallville stuff, Kansas come up stuff. I really like Henry Cavill as Superman. I think he does a great job. I loved Homeboy as Zod. I know him as Agent Van Housen from Boardwalk Empire. But that dude plays a good Zod. And I liked it. And I surprisingly liked the Krypton stuff, even though it went on maybe a little longer than it needed to. But I was into the Krypton stuff. What's his name? Russell Crowe as Jor-El did a good job. I think they designed the planet of Krypton in a really cool way. And overall, man, I was very happy with it. As a first outing with Henry Cavill, I think they did a good job.
So I would like to comment. However, this movie that you just mentioned may or may not be on my higher up on my list.
Yeah, so what do we do with that? I know John. I think he'll take a shot or something. But also, I don't know if you shouldn't reveal where it is on your list, right? No.
Yeah, no. So tell you what, I'm going to keep silent. I have some positive and negative thoughts on this movie.
Good.
And I will share them if it makes it into my top 5 list.
Fair enough. So, okay, and as you announce your 4th, I'm gonna, fill in my little list here. So we got number 5, Superman. Clark Kent made both of our lists at number 5.
D-Run Comics had the original, and Comic Head 84 had the Man of Steel from 2012.
Indeed.
All right, so my number 4 movie, sticking back with some of the older ones, I've got 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Ooh.
That movie to me, I don't know if it was a perfect representation of Batman, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the Joker. They finally, attempted to give the Joker, a bit of an origin story. I like the comic origin a little bit better, but it was still really good. And I don't know, that watching, the reporter lady, Vicky Vale, chasing after him. And yeah, I don't know. That's one I can rewatch, maybe once or twice a year and have a hell of a time doing it. I loved, the Joker was animated and just, he was a total nut. When he shot he asked his little goon Bob for a gun, The Bob gun. Bob hands him the gun, and then he shoots Bob immediately. Just like that is such a Joker thing to do. But yeah, that is my number quattro.
Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. That definitely started. Much respect to that movie for, even though I wanted to make a point, I tried not to go like too historical significance in just movies that I appreciated for what they were. But you can't deny that movie was like a milestone in not only Batman, but just like comic book movies, where even now in hindsight, it's even a little cartoonish compared to where these movies have evolved to today. But for that time, I mean, the most recent Batman movie before that was goddamn Adam West running around with a bomb over his head and shark repellent. You know what I mean? So
some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
I mean, just like huge strides were made. What's up, Mr. Garrell? Welcome, brother.
Yeah.
Huge strides were made in Batman #1, and I wasn't theater going age at that time, but it sounds like there was freaking Batman mania in the streets when that shit came out.
I was like 6 or 7 when that movie came out, and man, McDonald's had all the toys, the little Happy Meal toys. They had 2 different toy lines. One was made by Toy Biz. The other one was made by Kenner. I had them all as a kid. I just, and I was a sucker. They would make a different Batman, and the same Batman mold, and it was a different paint job. So you had the gold one, you had the purple one, you had the Toys R Us exclusive one. But to this day, it's still my favorite Batmobile. I absolutely loved the original Batmobile and the Tim Burton Batman. Just the whole movie, I thought it was it proved that because the internet wasn't really a big commercial thing back then at all, but a lot of people were really upset about Michael Keaton being cast as Batman. He was more known for comedic roles and whatnot, but he did a great job. He brought a lot of depth into it, and it was a hell of a movie, and I still really enjoy that one. But you were saying something, and I agree. I did go at this list picking my favorite 5 movies. It has nothing to do with historical significance.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm glad we're on the same page with that, because you can, because if you look at a list in that way, then it shakes out a little differently, because if that was the case, your 4 and 5 could very well be 1 and 2, for what they've done for the medium, but
Metarog wasn't kidding. They had a cereal from the Batman cereal. It was the worst. It didn't have any marshmallows or chocolate pieces or anything. It was little corn, bat flakes that were like hard as glass because they were covered in like a half sugar, half glass combination. They were just absolute garbage.
Corn bat flakes, huh?
Oh.
Hey, what year did the first Superman movie release? Is that 79?
79 or 8. It's one of the two.
Okay. Got it. So, yeah, I think that's a good pick. The introduction of Michael Keaton as Batman was cool. 78 was Superman. Okay, yep. That's an OG movie. Yeah, big time. What's one of my favorite scenes of that is Keaton as Bruce Wayne when he does the "wanna get nuts" line, the freaking candlestick. Oh man!
Hey, comic head, quit swinging your arms so much, though. All right, you've already had one catastrophe so far today. I need you to chill out, just to bring it down, center yourself a little bit, take it. There we go.
All right. You're right.
There we go. We don't want to get nuts. Not with all the comic books laying around.
Yes, because right before we went live, guys, these books took a digger, so he's not kidding. RLN Collectibles. What's up, brother? And you know, the one parting word I'll have on that film before I move on to my number 4 choice is Jack Nicholson as the Joker it's one of my least favorite Jokers, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. He was cool. I didn't get a very threatening vibe from him. You know, I definitely got crazy vibe from Joker, but I didn't really get dangerous vibe from Nicholson Joker. He wasn't real imposing. He was kind of older for the role by the time that Nicholson got it. You know, and
you seem to forget that he managed to taint cosmetic products so that if you used combination of deodorant and toothpaste or hairspray, like that is the most threatening thing you could ever imagine, man. You're in the bathroom trying to freshen up, you're ready for your day, making sure that the breath is right, and all of a sudden you're wearing a grin and it's permanent.
Yeah,
no, I get what you mean though. Like, he just seems like someone you'd cross the street to avoid, but maybe not run in the opposite direction.
Yeah, I think that's about right. But one thing I will say, and they came closest to, the lighting is so bad in this room, sorry. They came the closest to using, I guess in that movie would be like the Joker gas, right? Because no other film has done that, right? The Joker gas? No. Man, I freaking love the Joker gas as a weapon. Like, there is something about that as Joker's like main tool that I fucking love that. It's so creepy. It's like, how twisted is that? Is that when he hits you with this toxic gas, it just will make you laugh hysterically and you die with a giant Joker-like grin on your face. It almost Jokers your face out, right? Yeah. And there still has not been a perfect Batman movie made yet, but whenever that happens, one scene that will be required for that is for Batman to walk into a room or walk in somewhere and there just be a pile of dead bodies with the fucking cringed Joker toxin faces on all of them. And with the right direction, mood, and soundtrack, and makeup design, and whatever, that will be one of the most chilling scenes in all of comics. I love that weapon of Joker gas.
Yeah, no. Mr. Girl, you're right. He did have the hand buzzer of death. That was, in my opinion, that's a wonderful weapon, but it was a low point of the movie because the special effects on that were really bad. It was, that took me out of it even when I was watching it as a kid. I was like, yeah, that looks like crap. Like, so, but yeah, no, that is still a very good weapon. All right. What do you got as your number 4, man?
My number 4, which the last comment that just came in from David Martins is going to help me transition into this, my number 4 pick, because it's one of my favorite parts of the movie. David Martin said, is the musical score in the Criterion? Because Danny Elfman, Batman theme, is like one of the most iconic things. I still think of that when I think of Batman. The same way I think of that gnarly 90s guitar riff for X-Men, X-Men. Yep. I think of that for Batman, even more so than the animated series, you know, which had a huge impression on me. Now, my number 4 pick is Wonder Woman. And one thing that I loved about Wonder Woman is that badass theme song that she has. I think that Wonder Woman theme song, the hammering, marching drums, what have you, and that whole bit is just as iconic as the Superman theme, just as iconic as the Batman theme song. That Wonder Woman is right up there. And I'm glad they did that because that's an important factor, I think, because now they rounded out the Trinity and they all have. Yes.
Sorry, I had
Yes.
to do it.
Yes. Yes. So I'm really glad that they accomplished that because, you know, the other two guys have totally iconic tracks, and that shit is fire. So I'll start there. Sorry, I was just reading Geno's comments.
Tell you
Now,
what, I'm gonna name the comments for a while. I'm
Oh,
gonna name
while
the
I'm
comments for a little bit
good call.
because I cannot comment on this movie as well because it
Fair
may
enough.
or may not be in the list.
Fair enough. What up, Who Dat Comics? Thanks for joining. And in this Wonder Woman film, you get another actress, much like Michael Keaton, who initially is controversial when you hear that they're gonna play the character. You're like, really? But they pull it off. When I saw like images of Gal Gadot, I'm like, oh man, they're gonna make Wonder Woman like just some supermodel looking chick. Wonder Woman needs to have some meat on her bones. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is Gal Gadot. I don't know, man. And even though she didn't really bulk up for the role, she still looked great and believable as Wonder Woman. You know, even though she didn't bulk up or anything, wouldn't have hurt honestly, but still. And I thought the scenes in Themyscira were dope. The hot potato with Mother Box was probably maybe my favorite scene.
That was in
movie.
Justice League. That was in Justice League.
Really?
Word.
Oh, yeah. See, I should have rewatched some of these. What did they do? Did they get up? Did they get into anything cool in Themyscira?
It was more her
Wonder
growing up. It was like her growing up and her mom's reluctance to allow her to become a warrior. They did some exposition, storytelling.
There was no beef on that island, huh? They didn't get into a battle at all.
They did. The Germans invaded the island in search of Steve Trevor.
Okay, yeah. So there was some beef, right?
Yeah,
yeah. That's a good call. Either way, Themyscira I thought was cool. I thought it was well done. I liked seeing, you know, the island and the whole thing. And I'm glad that they didn't, you know, they're probably wise not to like get too into her origin because like wasn't she like molded out of clay or something weird like that?
Yeah.
And I don't think they touched on that in the movie, right?
They did actually. When they were riding on the boat back to England, she explained that to Steve Trevor, you know, and she says it in her Wonder Woman voice. And, my mother molded me out of clay, and Zeus brought me to life. And then it just pans to Steve Trevor, and he's like, "Neat." It was hilarious.
Yeah, that's about the only way you can really.
Yeah.
You kind of have to drop it tongue in cheek like that because it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
But yeah, hottest mom ever. Agree. Robin Wright is. I think Robin Wright was her mom, or was that like her?
That was Auntie.
Aunt Diane Lane.
No, Diane Lane is Superman's mom.
Who's Wonder Woman's mom?
It's none of your business, but I'll look it up.
Okay. Diane Lane is super hot. Anyway, so hold on. Great movie. The main flaw, which is the main flaw for so many movies, man, is the third act. The Ares was a total misstep. I didn't like the actor that played it. I didn't like what that final battle evolved into. CGI'd out. Ares, final act didn't do it for me. But short of that, great movie. I liked her fish out of water aspect. You know, I like that they brought it back into the past. And you know, boom. Number 4.
Nope,
Connie Nielsen, is that
Yep.
it? Let me do a little Connie Nielsen search to refresh myself. Connie Nielsen. Oh. Oh yeah, Connie Nielsen. Okay. She's like Chelsea Handler.
Yeah, no, Wonder Woman's a good one though. I agree that it's a solid pick of a movie.
A solid pick, and just to let's see, just to show you guys, just to create a visual here. That is where we're at the moment. Can you see that, D-Rock?
I can see it. It's a very nice Word document.
Okay, there we go. That's the high budget we got here at Comic Kid 84 Productions.
Nothing but the best.
Yes. Bang. There you go. So just as a refresher, that's where we are. And sorry, say something so you don't get caught up in the Inception.
Hey, it's George here. No Inception for you guys.
Okay. I think I'm back.
That's the best I could come up with.
Yes, great job. Okay, man. So yeah, that's where I came out with my fourth pick. So now we're getting into top 3 territory.
We are. All right, my top 3. I had a little visual aid, and it's this guy right here. This is my Man of Steel statue. It is.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. I caught this at a GameStop on clearance for like $60, and yeah, this is nice. It's actually technically a Batman versus Superman because you can see the little stand here has that logo on it, but it is my number 3 movie is Man of Steel. You touched on it a lot. I am a diehard Superman fan that loved the movie. I definitely would have loved to have been like a producer on that movie, and I could have had a hand in it and made it a little bit better. I had no problem with the neck snap. Believe it or not, that was just fine with me. Why
do you say that? Because I know that's a sticking point for a lot of folks. What about it made you okay with it?
And people debate this all the time, but like they say like, oh, you didn't have to put him in that situation. It could have ended differently completely. But for me, if Superman had no other choice than to do that to save an innocent family, he would. That he wouldn't and you saw how much it hurt him. Like it wasn't like he broke his neck and then teabagged him and then like laughed about it.
Right. It wasn't just a willy-nilly murder.
No, it destroyed him to do it. But yeah, he wasn't going to let that family get vaporized. So I'm completely cool with that.
I also feel like it's a factor too that he was a fellow Kryptonian.
Yeah,
and like he should crossing the line to like kill mortals, or humans and stuff. That's something that Superman really should never do because he's just too OP for that. But a fellow Kryptonian, I mean, beef is beef.
A couple other points that I hate, and I hear no one ever say this. I wish they would have found a way that it wasn't Superman's fault that General Zod came to Earth in the first place. General Zod came to Earth because Kal-El activated that ship, and it drew him there. So it's not even really like Superman was our savior in that moment. It's just that he realized that he screwed up and had to do something to fix it. It's one thing to volunteer to be the hero. It's another one, and not that he looked at it that way, but it was 100% General Zod was there looking for him. So that, it's nice that he eventually stopped Zod, but it was his fault that Zod even came there in the first place. So we would have just been better off if you hadn't shown up in the first place.
In Superman 2, how does Zod and the 2 cronies end up on Earth? How does that happen?
There is a nuclear bomb in the Eiffel Tower. Superman rips it out and throws it into space. And the explosion interacts with the Phantom Zone, which is like a glass disc or rectangle thing that is floating around in space. And once that thing is destroyed, the Phantom Zone is opened and the 3 Kryptonians burst out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the way that he arrived on Earth in the Man of Steel one is probably more probable, right? Or made more sense plot-wise.
It absolutely is. I'm not saying that I know exactly how to do that better. And Metarog's right. It was Jor-El that put him in that position, but it's just he's there because of Superman. Like, if there wasn't a Kal-El on Earth, General Zod would not have came to Earth.
Because even in both films, General Zod's beef is with Jor-El. You know,
Yeah.
that's something I always liked about Superman, Jor-El, who, and it's kind of cool for me because of uh, talking with you about the character and my buddy Dave Martins, who's in the chat now. I'm kind of getting exposed and giving Superman a chance a lot more lately. Like I'm reading some good Superman stuff. I watched Superman 1 before making this video. So my opinion's getting changed on some things with Superman, and I'm starting to see what's cool about him. But anyway, I've always thought he was light on villains, and I still kind of think that. But Zod has always been my favorite Superman villain, and I love that he's like the nemesis of Jor-El, like the nemesis of his father. I think just adds just like a cool dynamic to it. It almost makes it like, I don't know, Shakespearean or something. Like the enemy of your father is coming to beef with you. So Jor-El's a great character.
And I'm only pointing out the bad things about the movie, and I'll point out the things I loved here in a second. But the other thing was the ending battle in Metropolis. A lot of people hated how much destruction there was, and most of the destruction I didn't hate. It's just that when he bursts into when he bursts into the ship, and yelled out, "Krypton had its chance," and he I-beamed the shit out of the ship, and the ship crashed and went through several dozen buildings. That wasn't collateral damage of a fist fight between two gods. He literally wrecked a ship that just plowed through downtown Metropolis. And that to me was just like, whoa. Like, and they show it even more in the Batman v Superman movie, just how many buildings it plowed through. And it's just, it's that Superman would not do that. He would find a way to, they could have done that exact same scene and have it land in water or something, like that would have been okay with me. But having it just, just careen through several buildings was just like, that bothered me a lot.
Yeah, I agree too. It definitely stood out. Welcome, TJ Slabdragon. Good to see you, man.
Yeah.
I agree that like you would think Superman would have been cognizant of that and would, like, I don't know, find a way to avoid that shit, man.
I would have loved to have seen a scene where, General Zod is getting the upper hand, and then you start hearing Jor-El in his voice, in his head, saying, you can save them, Cal. You can save all of them. And then just watch Superman go on this epic saving people spree. And that could even be why General Zod has the upper hand, because instead of fighting Zod, he's saving people. I think that could have been so well done and cool to see, just, catching the bus from hitting the baby, the mom pushing the crib or the stroller, see, catching a woman falling out of a building that got knocked over, just seeing him just save everyone would have been
agree.
Such cool.
Because I totally agree with that. And I actually think that Superman is a better
David
example.
Martin said the exact same thing as me.
Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah, David Martin is right on target with anything Superman, by the way.
Cheers.
I think Superman is actually a better example of, with great power comes great responsibility, than Spider-Man is. Because Spider-Man is, with great power comes great responsibility if you fuck up and accidentally let your uncle die. Superman is straight up, with great power comes great responsibility. Like, that's one thing I'll always give Superman, and I'm starting to realize now, as a younger kid growing up, what I always thought was lame about Superman, of like, oh, he's a Boy Scout. He's a Boy Scout. What I always thought was kind of boring about him before, I'm really starting to appreciate now. Of like, yeah, you know what? He didn't need his parents murdered in front of his eyes like Batman. He didn't need an uncle. He didn't need to get traumatized by something to like that almost makes the responsibility come from like vengeance, you know. Whereas Superman is one of the few heroes that didn't have a tragic thing happen to him. You know, even the way he got his powers, he was born with the powers. He didn't, you know, get caught up in some gamma ray bomb or anything like that. He's just a dude who was raised with good parents and realized like, holy shit, dude, I can do anything. I am God level power. And one really cool scene from Superman 1, the 1978 or 9 flick, is when Pa Kent is talking to Clark. Clark just got like picked on by like the football team or whatever. And he's like, man, I want to go and fucking stunt on these fools on the football field, man. I could be scoring touchdowns left and right. And he's like, you know, you don't want to do that. You don't want to show off. And he's like, but it's not really showing off if it's just, I'm not even trying. So it's not really showing off. And he says, Clark, your skill set and your power, you're destined for more than just scoring touchdowns. And I think like that really like makes it click of like, yeah, you know what? Like, you got some real deal powers, dude, and you need to think bigger than fucking touchdowns and like personal gain. Like, there's no one in the planet that has your level of power. So anyway, it just makes him a real noble character, and I think that supports like he could have totally been on a saving spree on that because it really hits home of like, man, he's all moral compass. Superman is just all moral compass.
No, you said you're trying to get caught up reading stuff. Read Action Comics number 775. It's a one issue series. It's not like a 10-issue run, but it's a great Superman story, and it touches on Superman's moral compass. It is fantastic. But yeah, I'll say that watching him walk out of the, his Fortress of Solitude in that movie, for the first time in the Superman suit, like, gave me freaking goosebumps, man. That just such a the cape was all CGI, but it looked amazing. But yeah, I nitpicked it a lot while saying that it's my third favorite DC movie, but I do absolutely love it, and
Yeah.
I absolutely, you nailed it. I love Henry Cavill as Superman. I was worried about someone being British playing Superman, but I think he does, he does the voice perfectly, and yeah, it's a fantastic movie. So I absolutely love it. Obviously, I have my Man of Steel shirt on right now, so couldn't have been that bad.
That's an interesting point by Gino, who says he's not sure if the moral compass is intentional. He kind of likes the way that Superman appears a little detached in the newer movies because he is an alien at the end of the day. He's basically a god on Earth. And what has humanity, besides his parents, ever really done for him? That's an interesting take.
Oh man, no, so Christopher Nolan was attached like as a producer for the first movie, the Man of Steel, and he was attempting to bring us, similar to the Dark Knight, where what happens if Superman is in our world, our real world, and that's the portrayal that it is. And you see a lot more of it in the Batman v Superman movie, where he's watching the news and he's watching people debate about whether or not Superman is good or bad or necessary. You even got Neil deGrasse Tyson, talking about it.
Yeah.
It would be just demoralizing to sacrifice so much of yourself just for people to go, man, who is this guy? Why is he here? Why is he doing this? Like I wish he wasn't here. That would be tough for him. And I agree. Like that would weigh on him a lot.
Yeah.
Especially in our day and age, everything is so debatable. And the minute someone has an opinion about something, they're just all in on that opinion, and they can't hear another side of it. And it would be a tough world for Superman to exist in.
Yeah, agreed. And that's what I like about these characters. They're such enduring characters, Superman, Batman, that I'm okay with. You're bound to have different takes and versions. Like I could totally see a kind of a more detached Clark Kent. I could see super moral compass Clark Kent and like really want to save humanity. As long as they're done with respect and it's done consistently, like throughout the film, I'm cool with like different versions. You know, these are like in some cases 70, 80, right? 70-year-old characters. So you're bound to, you know, switch things up a little bit. Great pick. I agree with you. It also ended up on my list. My third choice, and my segue here will be one thing that I loved about that Superman movie, and you know, granted it's just an aesthetic thing, but one of the things that I appreciated from watching the 1979 Superman film and then running through Man of Steel is the aesthetic. The one thing Zack Snyder you cannot deny on that dude is he knows how to make superhero movies look good, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think that he totally flexed that muscle with, it wasn't just sitting here for a prop, baby. It was sitting here because it was ending up as number 3 on my list. Watchmen is my third favorite DC film. I'm a huge Watchmen fan, and I feel like it doesn't get enough appreciation, quite frankly. People seem to almost act like it's a given that it's not that good, but no one can give me like too many reasons as to what makes it kind of like a lousy movie. You actually made one of the most salient points or critiques on Watchmen, which is overuse of soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which I think that's a great point. That's the most tangible point that I've heard. But aside from that, there isn't a truer adaptation out there of comic to film. I don't think anywhere, literally. It's amazing. Not only because Zack Snyder is a visual director, and the amount of scenes that he basically just laid out as a comic book panel from the book is like staggering. There's so many instances of it. And I think the tone he nailed, the scenes with Dr. Manhattan. I love Dr. Manhattan in that movie. Talk about detached alien. Billy Crudup, that actor, I feel like he nailed the detached alien vibe of Dr. Manhattan with that character. Even playing, a naked blue dude with his wang swinging and all that, he still grounded it as like a believable character. Like especially when he goes to Mars and he's having that kind of like inner monologue of how he views, Earth and like the smartest human impresses him no more than the Earth's smartest termite, stuff like that. Great adaptation. It's a difficult movie. If there's any spots where it like suffers or anything, it's just that it's a hard source material to adapt. Yeah. Watchmen it's such a comic book. It does things that only comic books can do and are really special. Like one of the things that makes Watchmen special is the use of the 9-panel design, right? Things that make Watchmen special is the cover of the issue would always be the first panel of the book. What makes Watchmen special is issues like fearful symmetry, where as you read through the book, it's you eventually realize. I remember the first time I read it, amazing. I didn't catch it until I actually didn't catch it until later, until like I read about it somewhere, and I came back to the book and said, "Oh shit!" The whole book runs in mirror image of itself. So anyway, my point there is one of the things that made Watchmen great are the amazing feats that it accomplished in the comic book medium that it just wasn't able to do. I think I'm out of focus. Wasn't able to do on film.
Okay.
I know, right? Come on. Changing. I see Metarog mentioning changing the monster at the end of the film, which I like that. I thought that was a smart move, considering and you know why I feel even better about the decision is when you watch that movie, one thing you know is that, hey, John's Comics for Kids, thanks for dropping by. Appreciate your support, brother. You know that Zack Snyder did not take many liberties with the story. You know what I mean? He was following that baby to a T. So for him to make a decision to change something like that, it was for a good reason. And I think making Dr. Manhattan the variable instead of an alien abduction was well played.
Yeah, no, that was an amazing part of the movie. I thought it, and it made sense even to Dr. Manhattan during the movie. You know, like when he realized, like, oh, yeah, that's a pretty good plan. Like that, I don't know, that watching the people get vaporized was intense, and you know, that would galvanize the planet and pull them away from fighting each other. You know, that's something that can you know, you can drop a lot of petty differences when you need to save the entire world. It was a good plan. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought so too. This stupid fucking camera. How do you make a camera focus? I see sometimes people do that. Yeah.
That is a good question.
So,
no, easy.
Yeah, man. So Watchmen makes number 3. Great casting, great all around. Let me just hop into the chat and just see where people fall on that. RLM Collectibles hasn't seen Watchmen, the movie adaptation, yet. I recommend you really do that soon.
Read the book first. He's saying he doesn't know much about the Watchmen. Read the book first, please.
Oh, yes.
The movie is a very good adaptation. If you like the comic book, you'll like the movie. But the Watchmen as a graphic novel is on Time Magazine's top 100 novels of all time. So they're a comic book making that list is
not graphic novel, straight up novel.
Yeah, so that needs to be a read for you. But yeah, hey, you catch up with the chat here for a second. I'm gonna go handle some derunk business. I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh man, guys, I wish I could get this. Gosh darn. Anybody got any tips on how to get my camera to focus a little better? Oh, wait a minute. Okay, we're good. I'm gonna leave it just like that. Yeah, Watchmen. They'll never make a movie for those points that I was, and that's kind of what I was getting at when I was just pointing out the things that the Watchmen book was doing. That it can only be done in comics. Like of all those little things that I highlighted that Alan Moore and Gibbons did in this book, there's probably a dozen more. Just little cool things that they were doing outside the box stuff. That can only be done in comics. So a Watchmen movie will never quite do what the book did. What up, Black Key Comics? Yeah, genome. I think it is remedied for the most part. Let's see. Let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up my screen here just to hit home where we're at. So we're gonna get into the top 2 picks here, guys. So far, as you can see, Man of Steel was my number 5. Wonder Woman came in at number 4, and Man of Steel. Oh wait, I messed that up. I mixed that up. Watchmen is my number 3, and D-Runk had Man of Steel as his number 3. So Superman, Batman, Superman, and I suspect that Watchmen did not make his list. I'm really curious. What do you actually? I think I know. My top picks. We'll see if you guys agree or not. What I'd like to do once we wrap up with these 2 picks is I hope we can open up to the chat a little bit, and that way once we get these top movies out the way and discuss them, if you guys are still hanging out, I'd like to hop into the chat and basically let's just start shouting out DC movies and discuss them. Which ones? Because there's definitely movies that were like honorable mentions for me and didn't make the list, and they're worth being discussed and worth appreciating what was good or what was bad about them. So I'd like to jump into the chat for the honorable mentions section of this video, and then from there, D-Runk, I was just letting him know because we're getting into the top 2 now, and
Top 2.
Once we knock out the top 2, I'd like to jump into the chat for the honorable mentions section of the video, and just have whoever's still hanging out in the chat start shouting out, because there's plenty of movies that almost made my list but didn't quite. So I know there's plenty of movies that can still be discussed that were DC properties. So I'd like to throw it to the chat for the honorable mention section, and then the devious duty of shitting on the worst DC movies of all. So, all right, man. I think I just displayed my little Word document list, reminding everyone where we're at, and we were now at the top 2. And before you do that, I just want to. I think Gino made and as par for the course for Gino, a salient point. Great thing about watching a movie is it's a great movie regardless of whether you've read the graphic novel or not, or even read comics for that matter. You don't have to know anything about the characters. You know what? That's a good point, because they're not Dynasty characters. There's no origin, and since he translated this one-shot book, you're getting the whole front-to-back story right there. That's a good point.
Yeah.
All right, D, top 2, buddy.
All right. My number 2 favorite all-time DC live-action movie is The Dark Knight.
Oh,
that is, to me, it was a really close call to being number 1, and it was almost a perfect movie in my opinion. It had very few flaws. I think if they could have nailed down the Bat voice a little bit better, I'd have a hard time finding anything about that movie that I don't like. I loved watching Batman's struggle with being Bruce Wayne and Batman. I loved the fact that the Joker is just, it goes without saying, but it was just a phenomenal representation of it. And it wasn't even a comic book accurate representation of the Joker,
right?
But it was still amazing to watch. And I after watching it, you're not even mad. You know, it's so easy as a comic book nerd to go, that's not the real Joker, or that's not how the Joker acts, or, you know, but if you just can appreciate an amazing film, and it, to this day, I cannot believe that that movie did not win movie of the year. It wasn't, if I remember correctly, it may not have even been nominated. But even if it was the Slumdog Millionaire was the movie of the year that year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, which just that I have not watched the Academy Awards since then, because of that. That was just such garbage. Even the movie Gran Torino was snubbed that year. You know, if you know, if you were gonna, damn it, the Academy Awards suck. Dark Knight is amazing. Uh, you know, I actually I absolutely love Christian Bale. I think he does well with both Batman and Bruce Wayne, other than the voice. Which I thought his voice was actually not bad in Batman Begins, but they changed it a little bit in The Dark Knight, and the final scene where, you know, spoiler alert, Batman catches the Joker and has him hanging upside down, and you know, and they're arguing back and forth. You know, listening to Bale say, "This city just showed you that it still believes in something good." I almost laughed.
It's like cringy, right?
Yeah, it was that moment. Like, he was out of breath, so he was in character. He would have been out of breath in that moment. So I'm not mad about the out of breath, but it was so cringy listening to that voice. And you know, and I compare that to the scene in Batman Begins when um, he catches that corrupt cop and has the cop hanging upside down, and you know, he's like, you know, tell me, blah, 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 where's the poison or whatever, and the cop goes, I don't know, I swear to God, and then, you know, Bale says, swear to me. That was an amazing Batman voice moment. I dug that so much. That made me hyped, but they were not able to translate that into the Dark Knight. But other than that, though, just from the opening scene, you're almost just holding your breath. The bank robbery, and watching how he tricks all his gangsters into killing each other during the bank robbery, and you know, the magic trick, and just
so many iconic moments in that movie, especially, and then not to mention the Two-Face was stellar in that.
Oh my God, yes!
Like, it's people like, I remember when I first watched it, I actually didn't get spoiled on it really much at all, and I was like, what the hell? Two-Face is in this? And because obviously Harvey Dent's in it right from the jump, and you know, because Harvey Dent is an intriguing character all on his own. I like Harvey Dent. Like pre Two-Face, there's plenty of potential to use Harvey Dent in a Batman movie. And I kind of feel like the longer you let Harvey Dent play out and let him establish a relationship with Bruce Wayne, the sweeter Two-Face is as a villain, you know?
Yeah.
But the movie's so goddamn long, you know, you still accomplish that by the end of it. And they really lean into their relationship and stuff, giving them almost like a love triangle with that chick. But yeah, even Two-Face is really well done.
And when they talked about, and this is a nod to the 1989 Batman movie, but you know, Bruce hands Lucius Fox a new schematic for the Bat costume, and he goes, "Oh, you want to be able to turn your neck?" You know, because that's what the 1989 Batman could not do. The costume was so molded that every time he spun around, his head stayed perfectly still with his torso. But yeah, and you go, yeah, it'll sure make backing out of the driveway easier. Like such a, but the costume was different, you know, obviously than the comic book, but it made sense for what you would need the costume to be if you wanted to be Batman in real life. So
yeah, he definitely had the shape of the head is always irked me a little bit, like the bike helmet vibe
Yeah.
that it had. But it made, I mean, hey, all I know is if you're gonna give him a helmet looking thing like that, let's assume there's technology in it, and let's just assume there's a voice modulator inside that goddamn helmet.
That's something that they got perfect with the Ben
Affleck.
Affleck Batman.
Yes. Yes.
The for one, the costume was the best of any
Yes.
Batman.
Yeah, we've agreed on this that
Yeah.
Batfleck is the best in costume Batman for sure.
Yeah, and the modulator was such an amazing idea to,
Brilliant.
that's how, you're not going to be able to hear Bruce Wayne's voice when Batman talks. And
you make him sound imposing. Batman's thing is all about instilling fear. Fear is one of his big weapons, and what a cool way to do it than give you a bugged out voice,
Dude, if you had just gotten done robbing a bank and then all of a sudden you heard Batfleck standing behind you saying, drop the gun and put your hands in the air, you'd shit yourself.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. You just dookied in your pants and you're going to have a real bad day.
Yes. Well, I'll tell you what, I am a huge Batman fan, as you guys probably know. And Dark Knight is on my list. Let's put a pin in that because I would love to also gush over Dark Knight a little bit. But first, I'd like to shout out a welcome back to Burke Nasty. Thanks for joining.
Burke Nasty took care of the wife. He's back.
He's good. John's Comics with Kids, doing a little cheerleading for us, keeping the morale going. I appreciate that. And
Burke,
also,
hold on, Burke. We did not go over your list yet. We're actually going to have we're going to turn it over to the chat here after Comic Head gets done with his number 2 movie. Then we're going to the chat to hear your guys' stuff. But I will read it off for you if you'd like. I still offer to do that for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, once we knock out our list, we're gonna jump into the chat for chat picks and honorable mentions and all that good stuff. We want to mix it up with you guys. One last thing on John's Comics with Kids is, and I made a point not to call this top 5 because John, I wanted to have a little bit of distinction between John's Comics with Kids, who has a stellar top 5 series as well. And while he doesn't have top 5 movies, comic movies, he has a really cool episode of top 5 movie performances, which was a total blast to watch. Really good picks, really insightful stuff. So if you like this kind of chat and you're not up on John's Comics with Kids, check out his episode of best movie performances because he nailed it. Okay. And one of my favorite picks from that thing, it was so out of left field, but so brilliant, was Jeffrey Comic-Con. Jeffrey Comic-Con shouted out the Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, hell yeah, that movie does not get enough praise as being a comic book movie as the first Ninja Turtles. So I was just like so impressed by Jeffrey Comic-Con with that. I was like, hell yeah, beautiful out of the box pick. You guys are awesome. Okay, number 2. My number 2 pick, like I said, big Batman fan. I think this might be, of all the picks that I had, this was the one that I thought would be the most, I don't know, controversial, I guess, or would have the least amount of people on board as these. So, my number 2 favorite Batman movie, or it's a Batman movie. My number 2 favorite DC movie, Batman Returns. Batman Returns is one of my favorite superhero movies, period. One of my favorite movies, period. The design, the style of that movie is like out of this world. Tim Burton got super in his stride. He's established a tone in the first Batman film, but he really perfected it in Batman Returns in the second outing. Some people I hear people say it was like real goofy and real silly. And I've watched that movie a bunch of times, and I rewatched it the other day too. And I don't think it's that silly. Because if you remember, one of the reasons why I think they took Burton off of that film was part two was kind of disturbing, and it wasn't as marketable. Like if you go back and watch that movie, the Penguin is like a sexual deviant. He's grotesque. There's a lot of like adult kind of themes going on there. Catwoman is super sexually provocative. This is one where, you know, Batman does murder in this one. You know, so you got the murder argument there because he's like strapping dynamite to dudes' chests and shit, and he's kind of willy-nilly with that, but nothing too egregious. And it's a dark movie because I remember like getting Happy Meals and like getting that penguin on the rubber ducky as like a toy with a Happy Meal. And like if you think about it, that penguin depiction is not a kid-friendly villain. He was pretty wild. So I love that movie. It opens up awesome with the Paul Rubens as Cobblepot's father. You know, it just opens up so brilliantly where you establish the Penguin, they drop the baby into the sewer, off he goes, and then you get into, you know, Gotham City. Michael Keaton is a great Batman. I liked him as Bruce Wayne. I think he looks great in the suit until he has to start moving around a lot. He looks great when he's just standing there. You know,
he's scary looking for sure, and he has the Batman jawline, which I think Christian Bale did not have. The chin and the superhero chin. He has in the mask. He looks incredible.
His mouth, like because Keaton has kind of an iconic mouth in a way. Like he really does. So he looks super cool in the cowl. Again, he didn't have tons of mobility. That's why there was the moving the neck gag in Dark Knight Returns. But man, he looked badass. The style, it reminds me of like, it's the closest to like the Batman animated series being brought to life, which is my favorite like rendition of the Batman universe. It really is. I love that like gothic noir feeling to the Batman world. That's the closest that it's come, is Batman Returns, Tim Burton. David makes a good point of like, I agree. I would have loved to see that evolve a little bit more. I would have loved to see what Tim Burton would turn those movies into because he was still dealing with a world of comics needs to be kids movies, you know? And he was pushing the envelope for that. Never mind where we're at now of like, oh no, these are adult movies. Like, do what you got to do. I think Burton would thrive even better in that environment. So, yeah, I love the movie. Catwoman, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman is really cool. It's a lot like your point on the Joker in Dark Knight Returns. While he's not super comic faithful, it's still a good portrayal. Same thing with Catwoman and Penguin. You know, Catwoman in that movie essentially dies and comes back to life. It's just almost like zombie Catwoman in a way. And the Penguin, to my knowledge, really didn't get established as like this grotesque beast very much in the comics. He was always kind of like the British gangster dude, you know. So they strayed from source material, but still nailed it, I think. Danny DeVito as the Penguin is like legendary to me. So
the best part of that movie for me is Christopher Walken, hands down.
Yeah, Chris Walken's in that mug. I mean, even the Alfred in that movie, I liked the Alfred in those flicks.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon's kind of he reminds me more of the Batman 66 Gordon.
Yeah. Gordon was a big flop in that entire series. You know, especially with, you know, Gary Oldman playing him in the Nolan franchise. I mean, it wasn't even close. That Gordon was a not quite the I love the relationship between Gordon and Batman. It's one of my favorite parts of Commissioner Gordon is that they're so integral to one another. Um, yeah, Gordon and Batman Returns, Batman. He was in all three movies. The Alfred and the Commissioner were in all four movies from the first quadrilogy or whatever that's called.
Right. Yeah, that it was the same one, wasn't it?
Yep.
Everyone else just got freaking musical chairs the hell out of that one. Killer point from Dave, who says that we need to see Michael Keaton in a Batman Beyond movie.
Yeah.
as the OG Bruce Wayne. Hell yeah. Or at least voice him if they're going to go animated, which I think is what they're going to do. At least let him voice him. Yeah. So yeah, man, I love that movie. It's still one of my faves. And I think it holds up.
This is your list, and I know it's your list.
Yes.
I did not care for that movie much at all.
I know. And you know what's crazy is I love Comic Book Palace. I don't know if any of you guys watch that YouTube channel, but it follows a comic book shop owner in Massachusetts, and it just so happened the episode dropped today, so I'm watching it, and he's talking about Batman movies, and he was like, "Oh, the worst Batman movie is absolutely Batman Returns." He's like, "That thing was a joke." He's like, "What a goofy ass movie." I'm like, "Oh no."
Well, in the same series, you had Batman and Robin and Batman Forever, which were two just terrible movies.
Yeah,
so
that's what got me even more when he was saying it was the worst. I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah, no. So when you consider that, I like to think of Batman as the better of the two. Batman Returns, I don't hate it. I can watch it. It's the sequel, and I don't think there was another movie after that. I just like to think that Batman Forever was not real, and Batman and Robin was just a troll on all of us.
Yeah, honestly, they tried to, and it was actually, this is what that guy in that video had said. He was trying to make the point of, yeah, well, the Batman and Robin ones, they were bad on purpose because they were trying to channel the Adam West Batman. I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, maybe, but
they were trying to sell toys. That was that is their main. Even Schumacher himself said that that's where they went wrong, is they would have to bump out character designs and costume designs months before they were even ready to film, so that they could make the toys for the movie. But yeah, what I hated the most about Batman and Robin, I know it's not the movie we're talking about, but Bane was in that movie, and it was so. I love Bane so much as
me
villain.
too, and Poison Ivy. Those are couple of my two favorite villains that have the most potential. Poison Ivy and Bane, and they
even had Uma Thurman playing Poison Ivy, which I thought was going to be cool. But yeah, back to Batman Returns, number 2 for Comic.
That's my number 2 pick. Yep, I know that one's a hot take, but I love me some Batman Returns. Numero uno, and through the process of deduction, I think I know who your number 1 pick is.
Were we going to the comments first?
I was thinking after we run through them, we were going to what do you call it? Just go through honorable mentions and any movies that we did not pick. All
right. So this is another a different hot take. My favorite DC movie is Wonder Woman.
What? Just kidding.
Yeah. No. Now I think we disagree on the ending. To me, the ending wasn't about the fight with the bad guy. It was more about her coming to grips with her moral compass and not giving in to Ares' sense of hatred and war and I don't know, the whole thing. the scene where she walked across the battlefield, I talked about the Man of Steel, where the cape is blown in the wind in the Antarctic, gave me goosebumps. Not even close to the battlefield scene in Wonder Woman. That, to me, is one of the best sequences in a film, just period. Where she, she keeps arguing with Chris Pine or Steve Trevor, about what they're there to do, and he goes, "We can't save everyone. That's not what we're here for." And she just straight like, "No, that's what I'm here for," and just runs out there, absolutely epic. I did like the final fight scene with Ares. The whole movie, start to finish, it was a tough one, but Wonder Woman was my favorite. You killed it on the soundtrack. I loved her music. It debuted in the Batman v Superman movie when she made her big entrance when she saved Batman from Doomsday.
Yes.
But the Wonder Woman was and Gal Gadot. You were right. Like, so many people hated that pick of picking her, but now I hold, and she's been in 3 movies now as Wonder Woman. I really hope that they can retain her for a long time, because I don't want to see anyone else take that role. That she is just flawless in that role. I absolutely love her in that.
Yeah, like that little accent that she has is awesome. I never realized that I wanted Wonder Woman to have an accent until I saw the movie.
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh yeah, hell yeah, I want Wonder Woman to have an accent, because I never really had a voice in my head for her, the way I do with other characters.
Well, for me, I watched. I'm a huge fan of all the DC animated TV shows, and Justice League was a huge one for me. I love that show, and there was a Wonder Woman in that show, and she had a voice, but it doesn't even compare. If we're talking about Ben Affleck or Christian Bale, I compare him to Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy is Batman when I hear his voice. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman when I hear her voice. Like, that is it. Just like you, I didn't expect it to. Hey, that's a. I'm reading the comments. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Rug munching. Yeah, I think he's trolling.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I would like to get to know her better and be introduced to her family.
Yeah. And what? How does that work anyway? So they don't reproduce on Themyscira. Like, do they get pregnant? No, they just make people out of clay. Is that it?
No, I think Wonder Woman was made out of clay, and the women that are there are just immortal, or they're going to live a really long time.
Because there's no men, right?
Yeah.
There's no pregnancy.
I mean, maybe you got to get enough Steve Trevors to run through there, and it's a weird one. But that's another. I loved Steve Trevor in that movie. I thought that his character was so cool.
It was good to like. I like the fish out of water, like.
Oh yeah.
Thing that they did with it to bring her into the past. It was good.
When they did the scene where she had ice cream for the first time, it was a drawback to. Maybe it was talked about in the comic books a lot, but it was the first issue of Justice League. Wonder Woman did that, where
really,
like, this little girl gave her ice cream, and she was just so excited about it. And they adapted it in the Justice League War animated movie. So the line of "You should be so proud of yourself," that's from the comic book.
Does she see snow for the first time too in that movie? Or am I confused?
I think she sees smog for the first time. Like, when they got to London, and it was just filthy, and and there's a bunch of smoke everywhere, and she's grew up on Paradise Island, so she's used to seeing postcard looking beaches, and just beautiful architecture, and get to London and everyone's hairy, and it's just and
it's good they went with the warrior vibe. She got the sword on her. She looks like she's battle ready. She's actually the most like battle ready of the whole Justice League. So Wonder Woman is a badass, and not to throw shade, but she seems. I haven't seen it yet, but I could see Wonder Woman being like a legitimate leader of the crew versus like Captain Marvel, which it doesn't seem like she's going to be as natural of a female badass leader as Wonder Woman is. That's something that DC will always have over Marvel. I think, again, I haven't seen the movie yet. Looks like that's what they're trying to do, is have her be the new captain, replace Captain America. But Wonder Woman is the best leading lady.
And they paid homage to Superman 1, the scene in the alley where Clark Kent catches the bullet for Lois Lane from the mugger. And they recreated that scene to a degree in the Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah.
Which I nerded out hard when I saw that.
Good pick. Definitely a respectable pick. Where did Wonder Woman fall for mine? I forget.
Number 4.
Number 4. That's right. Yeah. It must be blasphemous for people to that I put Batman Returns over Wonder Woman. But yeah, baby. I'm a Batman ride or die. Which brings me to my number 1. Ride or die, Dark Knight Returns, baby. It has to be number 1. It's got to be number 1, man. Like you said, it's near perfect. I think we've both been doing this where like we say, this is one of my best movies. Now let me tell you what's wrong with it. Because I don't know, but with this movie, it makes sense because everything is right about it. It's easier to go through the couple things that are off than list everything that's right, and I will list some of those things, but just because I'm going to say it's the perfect superhero movie, perfect Batman movie, aside from I don't like the Batman portrayal, and that's kind of a big deal. Like whenever Batman's in the suit and he's talking, it's bullshit. I don't like it. It's like it just gets me. It's like you have all these surrounding characters. You have all these surrounding characters 100% nailing it. But Batman, the titular character, looks off in his suit to me, and the voice, goddamn that voice. Boom. Aside from that, dude, the Joker portrayal, it cannot be overstated of what Heath Ledger did in that movie with the Joker. Like you said, it's not completely comic accurate, but it really doesn't matter. Like, it's nuts. That interrogation scene of Batman and Joker in that room when he's like, where it wraps up with him telling him that he has to pick one between Harvey Dent and the chick to go save them. That is probably the coolest Batman universe. The best Batman scene on film is that scene. And probably the best comic book scene, including Marvel movies, because we kind of intentionally picked DC universe, because if we just did all comic book movies, Marvel movies would probably take up a lot of this list, is the reality of it. But that scene trumps anything Marvel has put out, any Marvel scene at all. And I'm including the goddamn airport scene from Civil War that made me jizz my pants, which is an amazing scene for comic book fans. And shit that went down in Infinity War, all amazing, but nothing to me trumped that Batman and Joker going at it in the interrogation scene when Batman's like, why do you want to kill me? and Joker just maniacally laughs and it's like, kill you. It's like, bro, you complete me. Like that, beautiful, perfect.
You
Heath
know what
Ledger's
scene?
terrifying.
What scene I like better in that movie
Mm.
is the hospital bed scene with Harvey Dent and the Joker.
Yeah,
You know, it's not Batman and the Joker. That's obviously it's tough to top that. But watching the Joker trying to explain himself to a
ah,
guy that he's just taken everything from him, and then knowing that he's crippled him so bad that he falls for it and buys into it. Like, yeah, you're right. Random chance. That is fair. And then the Joker takes it. Like, yeah, here's the gun. Heads or tails. Shoot, pull the trigger. You know, like, what?
incredible. You're right, incredible, dude. That scene, and he explains himself well too, right?
Yeah.
The Joker explains himself well.
He's just a dog chasing cars. He wouldn't know what to do with it if he caught it. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly. And that rings back to when he's like, I don't want to kill you to Batman. Why would I want to kill you? It's like he wants to continue to play this cat and mouse. Um, and that brings me to Two-Face, which people don't bring up Two-Face, the performance of Two-Face very often when they talk about this movie because Heath Ledger just cast such a huge shadow. But man, there's not a whole lot wrong that you can point to with the Harvey Dent portrayal, especially that bedside scene. Like the flipping the coin makes sense. Him like creating that alliance with the Joker and like he leaves that bedside saying, "Yeah, you know what? Screw Batman. Like let's go after Batman." Even though Joker's the one that put him there.
Yeah.
When he falls over, when he's tied up in that warehouse, and the way the camera does it and everything, the way like half of his face falls into the oil, and you see him struggling on the floor with half of his face rubbing into the oil. That's when it hit me, and I was like, "Oh shit, they're gonna do it! They're gonna do it!" And they just laid it out so beautifully of like the gasoline just rubbing into that one side of his face.
Yeah.
Dude, nuts.
Dude, another scene that just really grabbed me was and it was not just the scene, but it was the combination of the music. It's right as they're about to storm the building that the Joker is in. And Batman is on the roof and he's trying to talk Gordon into not sending in the SWAT team. And you hear Gordon say, you have to save Dent. I have to save Dent. And then the music just hits. Like, rewatch that movie for that one scene, dude. Oh my God, dude, you get a shiver up your spine every time. Like, Gordon feeling so bad about what has happened to Harvey Dent and wanting to, save him. And, the whole thing is just freaking amazing. Dude, so Bake the Snake, that disappearing pencil. So they would not use a practical effect for that scene. So the actor had that got his head slammed down onto the pencil had to grab the pencil out of the view of the camera before his head landed on top of the pencil, which is just insane. Like they refuse to let it be a practical effect.
Really?
Yeah, I just read about it just the other day. The actor was just every time he was so close to just getting impaled by the pencil, but it was a great scene.
Yeah, the Joker like establishing himself to all the other mobsters in the city was badass. He burns the money. He's like a total anarchist and shit. Like, man, so good. I liked Gary Oldman's portrayal of Jim Gordon. That's the best Jim Gordon that I've seen. I mean, Oldman's a great actor.
Yeah.
The role that I don't like, aside from Christian Bale's voice box, is the Alfred. I'm not big on. I like what do you call it? Whatever Batfleck, the Batman versus Superman universe. Jeremy Irons as Alfred That's what I like because I love that Batman year Earth One, the reboot where Alfred's kind of a badass and like an ex MI6 agent. I like badass Alfred. So let's not make him old and decrepit yet. You know.
I like both versions, but don't say anything bad about Michael Caine, because I might unsubscribe from you.
Yeah, I know. We can't blaspheme Michael Caine, but
I love,
you know,
I love the, I love the badass Alfred. That is a very cool take on it. But I also really love the I'm raising Bruce Wayne. I'm his father. The heart of that. Watching their relationship in Batman Begins was amazing to me. And I I disagree. I like Michael Caine a lot as Alfred.
Michael Caine. Yeah, I mean, he has some sparks of badassery when he's like, it's when Batman still doesn't grasp what the Joker is yet, and he's like, they're criminals. He's like, they just want money. He's like, they're after something. It's not real complicated, these criminals. And that's when Michael Caine, Alfred, makes the analogy of the dude in Africa who was like robbing all the rare jewels, but just throwing them away. But part of that story is like, yeah, me and a couple of my homies were on a mission in Africa, basically like overthrowing a government or something. He says something like real like, wait, what were you doing, Alfred? Like they kind of established that he had his own badass past too, which I liked. So yeah, man, I got love for Michael Caine, but Jeremy Irons is probably my favorite.
So Genome pointed out that in the bed scene with Two-Face and Joker, when he was getting ready to flip the coin, there is an actual big error in filming in that scene. One scene, you see him not having his finger on the hammer of the gun, and the other one, it goes back and forth. So not quite sure what happened with that, but it's still a really good scene in my opinion.
Yeah, here it is, guys.
Oh, the list.
There she is. Top 5 DC picks. Comic Head, myself, came through with Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, Watchmen, Batman Returns, Dark Knight. Wait, not Dark Knight Returns. Just Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
D-Runk, Superman, 78 technically is what Dave was saying.
Yeah.
Superman, Batman, 89, Man of Steel, Dark Knight Returns, Wonder Woman.
Dark Knight.
Again. Dark Knight. Dark Knight. I think, two respectable lists. I like that we have some overlap, but it wasn't identical.
Yeah, we shared 3 movies and 2 were different. So, and none of them were in the same order.
No. Gotta love it. Chat.
Hey, Burke Nasty, were you going to put your own lists up here, or you want me to read it off for you?
Yeah, let's mix it up with the chat. And depending on what you guys want to do, we can mix it up with, if you guys want to throw your top 5 lists into the mix.
Oh my God, fun. V for Vendetta. Shit.
Oh yeah.
I need to redo my list.
Remember when I was saying the number 5 one, I kept on going back and forth on. I was almost gonna keep Man of Steel off the list and put V for Vendetta as number 5. I just watched it today. It's so good, but I felt like I was like, dude, if I don't have Superman on this list at all, that's gonna be crazy.
Oh my God, that really, P. You made a good point, P. I V for Vendetta is now. Hey, can you erase my number 5 pick and put V for Vendetta, please?
Oh yeah, you would bump out Superman.
Yep,
Christopher Reeves. I would myself over that movie. I would. V for Vendetta is a great movie. V for Mask of the Phantasm. Agree. Is definitely respect. There's so many good animated movies that we had to make a point to say live action because otherwise we could list off a bunch of animated stuff, including Mask of the Phantasm.
And
yeah.
Mask of the Phantasm had a theatrical release as well. So it to me, it puts it in the same. It's not live action, obviously, but it was in the movie theater, which
True
was really cool. The bummer part about that is the action figure spoiled the ending on who the Phantasm character was.
Oh, right. Okay, we got our first community member list with Black Key Comics. Number 5, The Losers, which is a great pick. Have you seen The Losers, D-Rock?
No.
Let me tell you something. And the thing is fucking star-studded. You got Chris Evans. It's actually
I've seen that.
Right?
Yes.
So Captain America's on the squad. The comedian, I forget, he plays Negan, I guess, in Walking Dead. Negan, the comedian, is on the squad. And Gamora, Zoe Saldana, in her sexiest performance to date. Oh, she is so bad to the bone in that movie. Is in The Losers as well. So Losers is a really fun movie. V for Vendetta, good call at number 4. Wonder Woman at number 3. Man of Steel at number 2. Dark Knight at number 1. That's a solid list. That's a very solid list from Black Key Comics. Good shit, brother. Dave Martins, let's see. Ooh, he's just straight up big 2 the whole way through, baby. Batman 89 at number 5. Superman 2. Bow before me. Wait, is that what he
Kneel
said?
before Zod.
Kneel before Zod. He goes, come at me, Superman, if you dare. Number 3. Ooh, number 3, The Dark Knight. Number 2, Mask of Phantasm. I'll allow it. Theatrical release. Number 1, Superman 78. He's going OG classic. He thinks it's like a fine wine, and it gets better with age.
All right, so Burke Nasty sent me this on Instagram when he didn't know if he was going to be able to join us for the chat. He did join us for the chat, but now he's just being lazy. I'm just kidding, man. We love you. So number 5 for him was Justice League. Number 4 was Aquaman. Number 3 was Wonder Woman. 2, Batman Begins. Number 1, The Dark Knight. And then he also had honorable mentions of The Dark Knight Returns, Green Lantern, Batman versus Superman. And then he made a point of saying, I don't care what others say. LOL.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Read that one more time. I missed it.
All right. Burke Nasty, 54.
Yes.
The one and only. Had Justice League, number 5, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Batman Begins, and The Dark Knight as number 1. And then his honorable mentions were The Dark Knight Returns. He may have meant Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
Green Lantern, and then Batman versus Superman.
Dark Knight Rises. Not a bad pick.
That movie, if you rewatch it just to listen to the music, as right when the whole city starts going to hell, like the stadium just kind of got blown up, all the football players fell through the field, and like there's like a drum beat in the background. It just is freaking intense.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! It sets a pace. I love that movie so much, and I actually, a hot take here, I like Bane in that movie more than I like Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Whoa, really?
But, yeah, I really liked Bane a lot in that movie. My only problem with the movie was it was too grand of a plan. You had Batman dead to rights. You break his neck, you leave him laying there. You have a nuclear bomb in Gotham City. You want to destroy Gotham to show the world. You just hit the button. Let's blow this sucker. Like, Bane should have been sipping Mai Tais on the beach with Talia al Ghul, and it should have been a really short movie.
Burke Nasty hit it on the head. Smoking hot take with that one.
Oh, I hate saying it because so many people, really, I don't care if they disagree with me. It's my preference, but
Your list is bullshit, D-Runk.
You want to fight? You want to come at me, bro? Kneel before D-Runk.
One thing that's for damn sure is that that's a great Bane portrayal. Like, they were on the right track of, like, he's not a mindless beast or whatever the fuck those other movies were doing. He was badass. Like, I was into the mask. I was into the voice. Tom Hardy got pretty jacked for that role, so he was big. He was imposing. That jacket that he wore, like, he looked beast mode, dude.
And he had to act with his eyes. When you wear a mask that covers your face, like, you have, it's easier to have your like the Batman mask because you can still display emotion with your mouth and your eyes. But Tom Hardy had to do it all with his eyes, and I thought that was just amazing. Amazing portrayal on that. I hated Talia al Ghul in that movie. I thought she was a letdown in that movie, and I knew who she was the moment I saw her. I was like, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Al Ghul." But
yeah, it was okay. Batman Rises. The thing about Dark Knight Rises is that the Dark Knight was enjoyable. Like, there weren't many scenes that I was inclined to skip, and they were giving me so much. They were giving me my Jim Gordon scenes were good. Bruce Wayne stuff was pretty good. Harvey Dent, Two-Face, Joker, all that stuff. Just like all throughout the movie, all the characters were killing it. And I can't really say the same for Dark Knight Rises, where Catwoman scenes, skip. Don't like her as Catwoman. This, like, pseudo Robin, he's Robin, but he's not Robin, skip. You know what I'm saying? Talia al Ghul, not really interesting. You brought the Scarecrow back, but Bane scenes, awesome. So that was kind of like how I felt about Rises.
I loved the Catwoman in that movie. I thought it was a very cool, more accurate representation. It doesn't need to be accurate because Bane was not completely accurate to the comic book.
I for some reason have a crazy hatred for that actress.
Oh, I don't like anything else that she's in, but I enjoyed her in that movie. I thought it wasn't bad.
I prefer my Catwoman killed by Christopher Walken and come back as zombie Catwoman. Okay, that's my Catwoman, brother.
My Catwoman looks fresh right now.
Ryan Reynolds, you want to talk about smoking hot takes, Burke Nasty? He wants to try to tell me, oh, wait, I'm assuming he's talking about Deadpool.
No, he's not. He's talking Green Lantern.
He's talking Green Lantern. Wow. Granted, I haven't seen that movie in a very long time. Let me go back because there was some good comments in here that I want to get back into. The Model Vault dropped his top 5. Batman 89 as his number 5. Superman 2 as his number 4. That one almost made the list for me, by the way, because I loved those three characters that came from Krypton, especially the dude that played Zod. It's like classic for me. Number 3 is Wonder Woman. Number 2, by the way, I haven't seen Aquaman yet, so maybe that movie will be. Do you think that'll, based on the picks that I've made today and whatever from the conversations we had, do you think that Aquaman movie would end up in my top 5, D?
I do not. I have that as my number 9 favorite superhero DC movie.
Yeah,
it's good. I'm not saying I don't like it.
Right.
But I
Top five.
and I don't have a 10th.
Yeah. Okay. Dave Martins, we got a Kevin Feige quote. Superman is still to this day the archetype of the perfect superhero film origin story. We watch it before we make almost any of our films. Wow. Been the case for the past 17 years. Oh shit. Let me let that sink in. The perfect superhero film origin story. Interesting.
I love that line, and I think it's a great, paying homage to, like, the real original, superhero movie. But if you're on Kevin Feige's crew, that eventually, over the last 10 years, you've had to watch that movie, like 15 times. It probably gets like, dude, we're about to make an Ant-Man movie. We don't need to watch Superman again. And Feige just screams at him and shut up or you're fired.
Shut up, hold on. The baby's about to lift this truck. Hold on.
Yeah.
Burke Nasty coming through with his Bane critique. Bane was too short. Batman was too small. But still awesome. Batman's my favorite film. That's one thing that I will say that I like about these modern day superhero movies. HGH, bro. Steroids, bro. It makes them look pretty freaking cool, man.
Well, not only that, but I mean, when you get a hero that can't be done with HGH, you can CGI if you do it properly. Like the Incredible Hulk, Thanos. Like,
yeah,
those are Marvel movies, but they both looked fantastic in the movie. So we're not just limited to what you can do with prosthetics and steroids.
John's Comics with Kids. Yeah, they made Bane scary in that film.
Oh yeah.
And they made him intelligent, which is so important. He should be, for any, the people in here have probably all read Nightfall, which was my first exposure to Bane. And dude, after reading Nightfall, I was like, holy shit. I was like, Bane is like, there's a new guy in town, new sheriff in town. Like, after watching that, I'm like, dude, Bane is Batman's true arch nemesis now. Like,
yeah.
He master stroke, like, he was just so cool. His suit was cool. His powers I liked. He was a master schemer. He made all the rogues gallery, like his pawns, basically. Broke his back. Like, god damn.
Yeah.
So that was where I came to learn about Bane, and that was the Bane that resonated with me. So whenever I seen him being like, a hulking brute, which even in the comics they use him as sometimes, I'm like, oh man. I'm like, Bane is on another level, guys. So
Burke Nasty said Green Lantern is a cocky AF, and that's Ryan Reynolds to a T. The movie wasn't great, but you can't say that he's not a perfect being athletic, douchey, and loved himself to death. I agree. I thought Ryan Reynolds was a perfect Green Lantern. The movie was not a perfect movie, and I have a hard time rewatching that film. The other thing that people knock that movie for a lot is Green Lantern's costume, and I disagree. I think that his costume should look like an energy construct. It's generated from his ring. It should not look like.
It looks shitty, man.
But it shouldn't look like body armor or spandex. Like, it needs to look. I like the fact that it looked like it was made from energy. There was times where it looked too CGI, but the idea of it, I like the idea of the costume.
I see what you're saying. Like, in theory, that all sounds right, because everything should basically base itself off the ring. And I guess it would be kind of, I don't know, I'm not like a huge Green Lantern historian, but I guess if the ring can make anything, why bother even putting on a suit? Because the ring would just make a suit for you. But does that mean if he has to spend any kind of thought or energy making the suit, then I guess maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know. For that, it just comes down to what looks good on screen, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, one thing's for sure, and one thing we're gonna get back to, because I want to touch on a couple more of whoever didn't like throw out some of their, favorite picks or honorable mentions. I want to still make sure we can cover all that kind of stuff until we move on to, and I also want to give you a little head start thinking of it. What DC, maybe we can name 5, but DC properties that haven't been done yet that would that have the best potential for a movie from just DC properties, okay? Let's spitball that one, baby. So give that a thought as I round out the chat here, because there was some fun picks. And even though, yes, we were talking about DC Comics only, Mr. Gretzky still pulled out a really fun list of movies. Number 5, Mystery Men, which is, that's a fun pick, dude. That movie's pretty funny. Batman 66, for his number 4 pick. His number 3 pick, Fantastic Four 2005. I think he's trolling me, but it's okay. Fantastic Four 2005 for his number 3 pick. Number 2 is Ant-Man. And number 1 is Spider-Man 2. Your top 2 picks seem believable.
The rest of it, not so much.
Yeah, those top 2 picks seem fine. But, wow, Fantastic Four and Batman 66, I guess I could see that too if that's your thing.
And Gino was a little upset that we didn't have Batman 66 on there as well. But no, I actually love the Adam West Batman for what it is. It's just goofy and dumb. But rewatch that movie right now, it's actually kind of tough. There's a lot of downtime where they're not even being campy, and it's just Adam West riding in the back of a carriage with some, I don't know. The whole thing is weird. But the shark repellent bat spray is really nice, and yeah, Cesar Romero is a Joker. He's pretty cool.
Yeah, Centauri Stir Fry in the house, my man. Feel free to throw your hat in the ring, brother. Top 5 DC live action movies. That's right, Zachary Family Comics. We're trying to stick with just live action because that could almost be, maybe we could link up and do that too, of the best animated films DC. Because there's tons to pick from.
Under the Red Hood, Under the Red Hood, Under the Red Hood, Under the Red Hood, Under the Red Hood. Top 5.
All 5 of them?
Yep.
You're a Flash guy. What do you think of Flashpoint?
That was good.
I like Flashpoint a lot.
I do. I Flashpoint turned it into, now that there's like they went into a new 52 universe stemming from Flashpoint, just like they did in the comic book, which led into Justice League War, Justice League Throne of Atlantis. They had Batman and Son, Batman versus Robin, Death of Superman, Reign of the Superman. All of those movies are connected and tie into each other, which I really, really enjoy.
I haven't seen Reign of Superman yet, but it's on my DC Universe app now. I noticed. I should watch that. I just recently watched it's like a Harley Quinn one. I watched it on my Amazon Prime, and it was like, what do you call it? Harley Quinn has to link up with Batman and Robin or maybe Batman and Nightwing actually, to stop Poison Ivy. And have you seen that one?
So that one is weird.
Where Nightwing bangs Harley Quinn.
Oh, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh my God! So I enjoyed it because it was fun.
Yeah,
but
it was weird, right?
It was stupid and funny, and they have a scene where they're like all singing in a bar.
I know, really weird.
Harley farts in the Batmobile, and Batman has to roll down the window. I don't know why I love that scene so much, but it was hilarious. But yeah, no, that was a really weird movie.
Stir Fry, we are talking top 5 live action movies, and let me throw up the list that we came up with earlier, just for anyone who's coming late to the party. This was what we came up with. D-Runk. Actually, now that I look at it.
Yeah, you need to put a space in there with
Where?
my name.
Oh,
It looks like
how about a
Deer.
hyphen? Spider-Man?
It don't matter.
D-Runk. You know what I noticed is, D-Runk, your whole list is comprised of the Trinity.
Yep.
So D-Runk's got the Trinity on his list. I mean, mine basically is too, but we got Watchmen in the middle of the mix. And I guess my hot take is Batman Returns as number 2. FTW, that's my jam. I love me the Tim Burton aesthetic of Batman Returns, Catwoman, and Penguin. Stellar performances, in my opinion. A little silly, but hey, we're talking comic books, baby. It don't all have to be Dark Knight. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Watchmen. Watchmen 4, sure. So just to bring you up to speed on that.
For how much you say you loved the Watchmen movie, I can't believe that was not your number 2.
You know what? Me and Batman got a special thing going on, brother.
Okay.
All right? We got a very, very tight bond.
All right. Good to know.
Definitely not Watchmen. Ooh, so Zach Family Comics was not digging Watchmen. That's the beauty of these lists, man.
Oh, yeah. No, that, and most people would probably not have Wonder Woman at the top of their list, but it's what our lists are, and that's the fun part. But that's why we want to know what everyone else's list here is, so I'm down to do an animated one, though. I think that would be a damn good list.
Yeah, that'd be fun, right? Brick Nasty mentioned that he wants to do a video sometime soon, and hey, if you've seen a lot of those animated films, let's do that one.
I've seen them all.
I would need to brush up a little bit, actually. That's interesting that you expected more from the Watchmen. I mean, I don't know. I think he did about as good as you could do with a Watchmen adaptation.
I wish there wasn't as much slow motion in that one too. That's a classic Zack Snyder thing, is to slow mo the hell out of a movie, and that I don't like the slow motion, and the soundtrack was too heavy. But other than that, it was uber faithful to the source material. And
you know what I would have liked to have seen is, because the one thing that I will say about Zack Snyder is he's great for like Man of Steel. I think you want him directing Man of Steel, even Justice League, because the script is not on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just delivering the imagery. So people get on Zack Snyder. I mean, the script is the script. So
release the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, Snyder Cut or we riot. But the only thing I would say about Watchmen is I would rather see like a Christopher Nolan directed Watchmen than Zack Snyder, because Watchmen doesn't need fancy cinematography and shit the way it works really well in these other movies like Justice League and Superman. You don't need all that in Watchmen. So sometimes it was like overly stylized when, it could have just
I don't know if I'd want Nolan directing Watchmen. I think fight choreography is a weak point for him. And I think Snyder probably did a much better. He probably didn't design the costumes, but having the absolute authentic comic book costumes in the movie was amazing to see.
Yeah.
So I
don't know. I guess he's one of the few. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not super well versed in directors. I guess I have to really think about it. I guess my overall point is you know, Watchmen is such a grounded story that it probably could have used it would have maybe benefited from a little more grounded of a director, or I think anyway. I think, but you're right. I wouldn't want it to be at the expense of seeing Rorschach look just like freaking Rorschach, Night Owl, Doctor Manhattan. Like they all look dope in the casting. I mean, Silk Spectre didn't really do it for me, I guess, but otherwise, casting was like on point. A question for you, Centauri. So Centauri just dropped his 5. Is your number 1 Dark Knight, or is your number 1 Batman Begins?
Or is your list not definitive?
Because I think he's going in order. But I think Dark Knight is his 1, and then it descends down from there. Maybe not. But again, he went with the Trinity is making up all 5 picks. V for Vendetta was definitely a good one. All right, so let's get this on track a little bit. Let's do 2 more things before we jet out, fellas. Let's say I would like to do top 5 worst. And first, if anyone else has their top 5 list that they want to share, go ahead and do that now. I think everyone more or less did. And secondly,
Stir Fry was going in order. Dark Knight was his first.
Got it. I thought so. Batman Begins was in the contention for me. A good movie, no doubt. Ra's al Ghul's the man. I think let's shit on some DC movies, top 5 worst, and I'd like to also drop DC movies that haven't been made yet with the most potential that we'd love to see.
Okay.
So the worst. Anyone in the chat, if you want to start throwing out the worst Batman films, I mean.
So we're going to start with our 5th worst?
I don't know. It's going to be hard for me to do that without premeditating it because I'm kind of just freestyling with that. So I'm probably just going to name 5.
I'm ready to roll right now with my first take.
Go ahead.
Batman v Superman. That movie to me was an absolute failure on so many levels, and I still like the movie. I watch it to this day, but they crammed too much shit in that movie. You know, if anyone could learn anything from a comic book movie, watch Spider-Man 3 and don't do that. Do not cram, all these different important storylines and villains into one movie. The Lex Luthor casting was garbage.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Hate it. It. Oh my God. That Lex Luthor casting is maybe straight up maybe the worst. Yeah, I'm going to say definitively. That's the worst comic book casting in any film ever all time.
Absolutely.
I hate it, dude.
And watching, the movie Batman v Superman, like that fight was so short-lived and not well done. And it was dumb, the reason why they even fought. Like they were building the movie up to have them fight. Like they were giving them a good reason. And then they wound up fighting just because Lex Luthor made them fight. Like, just dumb. I can't. Once again, the body count Batman lays down in that movie is just an affront to all Batman fans. You may as well just shit in my mouth when you have Batman murder like 18 people in one movie. Most of those people that he killed was not even in self-defense. It was while he was chasing down a truck that had a piece of kryptonite on it. That I rage out over that. Burke's out of here.
Burke's out.
Oh, no, phone's gonna die.
Phone's about to
Adios.
die.
Then cramming the death of Superman into that movie. That needed to be its own movie. That
Yeah.
to me pissed me off. And I love the scene where it happened. I thought it was well shot and well done. But damn it, that movie was so much missed opportunity, and it angers me every time. And then there were other things like God, trying to learn from the mistakes of Man of Steel, where they were mad about the Metropolis destruction. So as Doomsday is attacking, they make a point on the newscast to say, "Oh, good thing everyone's gone home from work."
Yeah, everyone's home. They had the day off.
And then nuking Superman as he's carrying Doomsday into space was just that was stupid. Like, oh, he's saving us. Throw a nuke at him. Like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's too bad, huh? That's why, like, if I was to do a top 5 worst, Batman versus Superman and Suicide Squad both make my list because they're more watchable than Steel and Batman and Robin and like movies, Catwoman, Halle Berry. Like, they're more watchable than that. But those two movies, they fucking hurt my soul, dude, more than those other ones. Of like, god damn, because you're close enough that like you can get taken seriously. Like I said, Batfleck, I like it. I like the lot that they were doing there. It looks good, but god damn, those mortal sins of Lex Luthor as that punk kid. He's like what's the name of that guy that made Facebook? A Zuckerberg. Lex Luthor. Hell to the no.
Yeah.
Cramming so much shit in there. Like Doomsday, really? Doomsday, Death of Superman, and Dark Knight Returns, basically. Fucking, dude. Because, man, I think right in the beginning, I was hyped. I was like, yo. When it started with Bruce Wayne rushing through the city, going to Wayne Corp to save some of his employees, and then going back to like the Batcave to brood and get pissed off at Superman and be like, this dude's a menace. I was like, hell yeah. I feel like it started out good. I like that. Because I was cool with them being standoffish with each other. That's a key part of their relationship,
Yeah. Did you ever see the extended cut of that movie?
I think so.
It shows a lot more of Clark Kent investigating Batman and finding out that his methods were really dark and shady. That Bat brand that he would give people,
which was like retarded. That was retarded.
Yeah,
the Bat
but
brand.
that won't. Yeah,
but it made it go both ways, though, right? Of like,
and that made more sense why they would want to fight. And then that should have been the reason why they fought. Not because, hey, Superman, I got your mom. Like, you want her back? You got to go kill Batman. Like, fuck.
Yeah. There's some things that you shouldn't have. Like, they tried to modernize Lex Luthor, but Luthor's got to be. I feel like I like when Luthor's an imposing dude in and of himself. Like. It's not that he needs to go toe to toe with Superman in a fist fight. Obviously, that's pointless. But I still like it. I still like to picture Lex Luthor as a fairly stocky, bald dude, because he should be almost like Bruce Wayne and Batman in a lot of ways, where Lex Luthor wants, in his mind's eye, thinks he's like the pinnacle human, kind of like Bruce Wayne does. And that's why I like an in-shape Lex Luthor, because I just picture him like one of these super successful dudes that's just like killing it on all fronts. He's rich. He's got a hot wife. He's in shape, he's got it going on. Lex Luthor's got it going on. and he's
I
narcissistic and egotistical. He's not a
my
punk kid.
my favorite Lex Luthor is Clancy Brown's voice acting from Superman the Animated Series.
Hmm.
In that series, all he is a champion of business. Pretty much runs Metropolis, whether you know it or not. And he's always a thorn in Superman's side, but it's never quite face to face, like you said. And the voice, he seems cocky and arrogant and better than everyone else.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that portrayal. And yeah, Jesse Eisenberg
He's not that.
no, and I don't even hate him as an actor. I don't know if you ever seen what was that zombie movie that he did with
Right.
Zombie. I love that movie.
Zombieland. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie. But I didn't see that movie and be like, oh, I bet you he could be a good Lex Luthor.
Right. Who did? I mean, come on, man.
That was a Zack Snyder decision.
Yeah, that's on Zack.
He auditioned for the role of Jimmy Olsen, and he said, "Oh, this guy's creepy. He should be Lex Luthor." And that just means he didn't know the source material. And when you don't know your source material, like, you got to tread lightly. If you don't know your source material, that's great, but you better have some people with you that do, and you better listen to them.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that because considering what Zack did with Watchmen, which he was like all about source material, and I've seen interviews with him, and he was like, he knew his shit. And you know what? Maybe it's because Watchmen isn't decades of mythology and it's one book, and he read this a few times, and that was it, right? That's probably what it is. Versus needing to be well versed in the decades of mythology. Yeah.
All right, so I think we both agree that's on our list.
Yeah, that one sucked. Suicide Squad, pisses me off just because, I think I've said it a few times before of like the second half of that movie, you don't use Joker as the villain is ridiculous. It's just silly. I don't know. That movie sucked. The second half sucked. And the Birds of Prey movie is going to suck too. It just continues to show me, now that I've seen a little bit more footage and I know what's going on. Margot Robbie she's like executive producer. Like, she has mad creative control over that movie.
Oh, creative control is the worst.
Dude, you do not need to have Margot Robbie with creative control of that movie, dude. I don't give a goddamn. She doesn't know the material for sure. So it's going to be a retarded female Deadpool type bullshit. So that movie's going to suck.
Dude, creative control is one of, obviously it hurts professional wrestling, but that's not what we're talking about today. But Hugh Jackman, when he got too much creative control over the movie, is when X-Men Origins Wolverine came out.
Right.
And
like, you're an actor.
Yeah, and I love Hugh Jackman to death. Like, he is Wolverine in my opinion, but damn it, like, you get your claws off the script. They're gonna make you look good. It's a freaking Wolverine movie. Like, hey, it's a Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn. They're gonna make you look good. Birds of Prey, they're gonna make you look good. Just let them do their thing. Yeah.
And even if it's like maybe certain, I can see creative control as in the way that you choose to portray the character. Like, I don't know, stuff like that. But we're talking like Margot Robbie's making decisions on what Black Canary should look like and what Black Canary should do and shit like that. And that's when it's like, oh no. It's nuts, dude. Anyway. So yeah, and the other stinkers, I mean, the ones that we would expect, like Steel, Catwoman.
Hey, your boy David Martins is my new best friend. He is a fan of Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman.
Yeah, he is. Dude, me and Dave Martins the other day he has every Superman show or movie out there, and him and I were watching Superboy, some TV series, Superboy, and Dave, remind me who that chick was that he was fighting. Um, it was such a funny scene. Uh, this random Superboy show that I had never heard of. There was a female villain that he was fighting that was really fun. So who's John Shea? Fill me in because I don't know.
He is the Lex Luthor from the Superman: The New Adventure, or Lois and Clark: The New Adventures of Superman. And he,
Neil.
yeah, but the betrayal of Lex Luthor was fantastic. He was a rich, arrogant businessman who would slit your throat when no one was looking, and donated to the charity, and he kissed babies and shook hands. He was just perfect. Very good call on that.
Yeah, yeah. The Smallville was Smallville a good watch for you as a Superman fan?
Yes, except you can only tell so many stories before you become Superman. So I wish it was like only 6 seasons long. But I enjoyed the Lex Luthor in that show as well. Michael Rosenbaum is very, very cool.
Yeah, I've seen like interviews and stuff with Rosenbaum. Seems like a good actor. I mean, he didn't strike me as Lex Luthor. Again, not in the show because I haven't seen the show, but he didn't. From seeing him in like interviews, he didn't strike me as Lex Luthor. But were they doing a love triangle thing?
Yeah, a little bit. And then Michael Rosenbaum also voiced Wally West Flash in the Justice League cartoon series, which is just a weird that you would do Lex Luthor here and the Flash over here. But yeah, I loved him as Lex Luthor though. That was a fun watch. Season 1 is kind of shitty too. Like season 1 is just like a bunch of like a freak of the week type thing where every episode there's a new weird random monster that they got to fight. But then after season 2, they get better at storytelling and plot development, and it gets pretty good.
So I think we've covered the ground pretty well. Of you can only spend so much time shitting on these movies that failed, but let's get optimistic here. We got the road ahead of us, and not even necessarily stuff that's never been done, because I want to talk about how Green Lantern could be the next huge DC movie franchise. But what hasn't been done yet? Maybe we got some cool fan castings up our sleeves here, stuff like that. A little spitball in action. I'd like to open the floor to Green Lantern because, man, I wouldn't have even put Cyborg in Justice League. Justice League should still be a few years away, in my opinion, and I wouldn't even have put Cyborg in it. I would have just, even if you're trying to hit your diversity checklist and want to get a black guy in the mix, I mean, I get it, dude. That's fine. But just make it. God, his name's on the tip of my tongue. Do you help me out? The Green Lantern.
Hal Jordan?
No, the black dude.
John Stewart.
John Stewart. I was thinking John Jones.
Yeah, that's Martian Manhunter. Yeah.
I would still be, even though I don't know how diehard Green Lantern fans would feel about if they just came out the gate with John Stewart as Green Lantern. I could see that being controversial because I know there's like diehard Hal Jordan fans. Not so much Kyle Rayner from what I've seen, but how do you think people would respond to that if they came right out the gate, John Stewart?
I think the mistake with one of the bigger mistakes with the Green Lantern movie that came out is they showed other Green Lanterns, but it was about Hal Jordan. Green Lanterns, if you're going to make a movie about it, it should not be Green Lantern. It should be Green Lanterns.
Green
You
Lantern
should have,
Corps, right? Green
yeah.
Lantern Corps, no
You need
doubt.
to have all of them. I want
Yes.
Guy Gardner. I want Kyle Rayner. I want John Stewart. I want Hal Jordan. I want them all. And you need to have them fight a threat that, could wipe out the universe. Um,
Cosmic, yeah. They spend very little time on Earth, right? That's like
yeah,
their Guardians of the Galaxy
yeah.
movie.
That to me is where they need to go with that. Um, it could be a Guardians of the Galaxy like movie if you do it right, and that's the great thing about Kyle Rayner, John Stewart, Hal Jordan. They're all different characters. Guy Gardner. They're all different characters.
I've always loved the idea of Kyle Rayner. Dave and I were talking about this the other day of Kyle Rayner being an artist, and
Yeah,
that being like, and we should see all that play out. Like, you would want to see when Kyle Rayner uses his ring, him make like the most magnificent looking shit with his ring and the complexities and artistic looking stuff. And other guys like you could really make those cool. And each guy, based on their personality, is almost what their constructs look like. A guy with less creativity is making more of the big fly swatter and the big boxing glove and shit like that.
Well, and then John Stewart, his constructs, which kind of pissed me off about the Justice League cartoon, but he'll make, like a contraption, like a gun. Let's say he makes a gun. He would have every moving part of that gun inside of his construct. That's how his are ultra detailed due to his military background, like a perfectionist.
Oh, I see.
And that's he's a Marine, and
right.
that's his claim to fame there. Guy Gardner's a hothead and a piece of shit sometimes.
The hothead pilot, right?
Guy Gardner's more a jerk asshole type thing. Hal Jordan's more the pilot hothead type guy.
Yeah,
they're both hotheads, but in different ways.
Right.
Like I'd say Hal Jordan's more heroic hothead, and Guy Gardner's more, he would
a little more of a dirtbag.
Yeah, no, he'd try and steal your girl.
Yeah.
Even if you were his best friend.
And to get Parallax, eventually get into Parallax and shit once you established Hal. That's I would do that as soon as I don't know, a second movie. Get Sinestro in there in the first movie, and then once you establish Hal, make his ass Parallax in the second movie. There's so much great potential for Green Lantern, and all that should happen before Justice League, the first Justice League movie.
Dude, Black Key Comics, that Green Lantern number 87. I want that book so bad.
Yeah, that's a great book. Yeah. Let me run back through. Yes, I've heard of Lexington Steele. He is also a large black gentleman, but not the one that we're talking about. Dave Martin's Booster Gold. Booster Gold could be a hot property if done right. Yeah. Booster Gold's definitely an interesting character. I'd be curious if I think what they're doing with him is Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. That's like the rumor mill type stuff. And that's what you got to do, right? You got to get Booster not on his own franchise, but linked up with someone, and I guess that's Blue Beetle.
Booster Gold, Blue Beetle are two great characters.
Yeah. I'm not too familiar with the Legion of Superheroes. I understand that they're way ahead in the future from all the heroes that we know, right? They're not rubbing shoulders with Batman, Superman, and stuff. Yeah, I hear you.
Straight up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's so many potential. But here's the thing that I want them to do more than any of that. and I hear rumors about, all the different things that they're going to do with the universe. It might feature, focus more on solo movies and like what have you. I don't want any of that. I want them to do what Marvel has done. Build your fucking universe. Build it and take all the time in the world with it. You don't need to race Marvel to the finish line. You just need to
Right.
make good movies. You've got 80 years of comic book lore to base that off of. You don't need to make a Superman movie and then a Batman v Superman movie that introduces the Justice League and like none of that. Like just take your sweet time. Make a really good Green Lantern movie. Jeff Johns is one of my favorite comic book writers. Take him out of the movie making business because every time they make a shitty movie, they just say, "Oh, don't worry, Jeff Johns is going to have a bigger role in the next one," and then the next one comes out and that one sucks even more. He had his hands deep into the Green Lantern movie, which was sad because his run on Green Lantern was phenomenal.
And
yeah,
I doubt he can't be making worthwhile decisions, right?
well, and that's the other thing is like, Justice League, I think was one movie that really disappointed me as well. That movie got rushed to the set because the executives at Warner Brothers were going to get a bonus if that movie launched in 2017 versus 2018. Just so many boneheaded decisions. There's too many people making decisions over there. It's like WCW towards the end of their run.
Yeah. No, honestly, you got and that's basically what's happening with this Harley Quinn movie is she got over, she's got some heat, and now she's making decisions. Like
Yeah.
Kevin Nash is big sexy, bro. He's not a CEO. He doesn't know how to run a business. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. Of Margot Robbie I don't want the fate of the Batman universe, because let's be real, Harley Quinn movies, we're talking the Batman universe. I don't want the fate of that to be in Margot Robbie's hands.
Vince Russo is booking DC Comics right now, and it is a goddamn shame.
Yes. That sounds about right, dude. Yeah, it's that part is definitely disappointing.
I would like to make the Flashpoint movie. Make Flashpoint happen, and you can reboot your whole universe, and you can start over again.
And that's what I was going to say. Is like, as far as not having patience, right? Because that seems to be their problem. They don't want to just earn these movies and like build the universe. It's like, well, guess what? It's not paying off for you, because now you're in a spot where they're in this weird dynamic where they have to try and reboot some of the dead limbs of their franchises, but try to keep what's good of it. And now you got a clusterfuck. Now you got a Wonder Woman that you want to keep and build off of, and you got a Batman who's you got to replace, and a Henry Cavill, for some reason I don't even understand why he's gone, but now you got to replace him. It's like a cluster, and it's because you shouldn't have making a Justice League movie is too definitive of a statement. You straight up introduce like 2 or 3 characters in that one movie. It's like, man, what if some of them don't? Now you're tied to all these different characters because they appeared in film together, when before you could have played it off like they weren't in continuity, but now they all hung out together, and it's this weird, sticky situation.
Yeah, dude, it's terrible. I just look at DC Universe, and I like DC more than Marvel, but I don't root for one over the other. Like I can read a Marvel comic book and watch a Marvel movie and enjoy the hell out of myself. But I just wish that they would do better than what they're doing. They break my heart more often than not.
Yeah, they really do. Peace out, Stir Fry. You guys, and I think everyone here is subscribed to Centauri Stir Fry, right?
I am, yes.
That dude is incredible. He's got like effortless humor. That dude is fucking funny, man. He's got like probably the most. I don't watch a ton of haul videos. I only watch a handful of them. He's one that I watch every time. Yours, I watch every time. Uh, he's just super entertaining. So, ringing endorsement for Stir Fry. That dude's the man, and he's got killer statues. I don't even want to start that addiction.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I I had to stop with my Superman statue. These things are just expensive, and every time you buy one, like I bought this one, and then like a month later, I saw an even cooler one, and I like immediately put it in my cart. Like, take my money, and
Yeah.
and yeah, I talked myself out of it, and I have a cool Superman statue, but yeah, it could get expensive real quick.
Especially, because the ones that look the dopest, like they're big money. Like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
some of those statues that end up in like the $700 to $1,000, $1,200 category,
Yeah.
are fucking amazing, dude.
But you could buy a
Amazing.
Grail comic book for that kind of money.
You could, yeah, but I guess once I started like dipping my toe into that world a little bit, I see like people talk about Grail statues. Like this is a Grail statue.
Yeah.
I don't know what. There's got to be some resale value with them. I just don't know if they rise in value or go down in value. You know
Resale
what?
is always hard for me because I never want to sell any of my shit. Like I want to buy it and keep it forever. I'm gonna be a hoarder someday. That's my goal.
Yeah, no, I know, but the people that do, get into the statue game, because like, you can only. I imagine you don't want to display too many of the same character. So like, if you start to upgrade your Magneto statue a couple times over, you probably want to get rid of your oldest one. Is it easy to sell those things? Do they hold value? I should see if we can. Maybe we can get Stir Fry, wrangle him onto a show one of these days. I like to pick his brain on statues.
Yeah.
And just stuff in general. He's awesome. Let me just dip my toe into the. I remember Black Key Comics had a good comment because he listed a bunch of properties.
Hey, I'll be right back. Okay.
You got it, man. Yeah, Black Key mentioned Hawkman, Vixen, John Stewart, Mal Duncan the Guardian, and Spectre. I'm not familiar with Vixen. Who Vixen is? Hawkman. I definitely would like to see Hawkman on screen, but I don't know if I'd want to see a Hawkman film on his own. Maybe. If done right, I think just about any character can probably hold their own. Ooh. I'm going to Google DC Vixen and just see what that looks like. DC. What character? Is she a villain? So she has claws. Almost like cat-like. Cool looking black chick, almost like a Black Panther type deal. Static Shock, I completely agree. I've said before that I think Static Shock is the Miles Morales of the DC universe and should be treated as such. And I would like to see maybe DC does like a Teen Titans or a Young Justice, whatever. I wouldn't mind if they did a movie version of Teen Titans that strayed from the one that we're used to and had guys like Static Shock in it, I don't think he's a real staple of Teen Titans, but I could see them making a cool flick together. I wonder if I can position myself in a way where this light. Yeah, I'm gonna get a new setup soon, guys, because I'm in this new area because I realized that I can't just get enough connection here to enough connection on my laptop to sustain a live chat. It just got way too glitchy and stuff, so I have to sit at this PC and do it. But the lighting's really bad in here, so I have to come up with a setup. Unfortunately, DC doesn't own the rights to Static Shock. Oh, that sucks. Milestone owns Static Shock, but DC doesn't own Milestone? That seems odd. That strikes me as odd.
I would also love a really good Flash movie.
Flash, right? He's one of the main staples, no? The Flash.
But not the character that was in the Justice League. I don't like him as the Flash at all.
He's no good.
No, he is a no bueno.
No bueno, science geek. Because I didn't know. I've read some Flash, but I mean, he's got to be forensic scientist, right?
Yes. He's like a CSI, crime detective. But I don't know. They just said the wrong. Like they mixed Wally West and Barry Allen into one character almost. Like Barry Allen is like the epitome of like hope in DC Comics, and being a real friggin' hero, and but yeah, I don't know, just they had the wrong guy, just way off base on that.
Yeah, I can see that. The more I thought about it, and the more Flash I got exposed to, I could see that that the whole like punk kid scientist. He's I've never seen Flash that quirky before. It's like a quirky science kid, right?
Yeah, no, and Wally West can be a little quirky from time to time and more quippy, but not. I don't know, the whole thing. That Justice League movie, man. I don't think that you could have saved it with the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, no, they really couldn't. I wrote a little script for it and everything. Not a movie script, but like kind of like a video script. I haven't got around to making it yet, but I wanted to, because I know a perfect Harley Quinn movie, but that's one that it sucks when you can see the writing on the wall like that. That with me learning of Margot Robbie's involvement in the movie and seeing more set photos and seeing that teaser trailer is like, it's bumming me out.
Yeah, dude, you need to make a video where you just sit down and make your pitch to DC Comics.
Yeah,
hopefully they see it and they make it and you can sue their ass.
No, that for sure won't happen. But I don't know. I might make it. It's kind of funny. It's like I feel like I'm straight up doing like a fan fiction video, which I never thought I'd do that, but I guess I'm about to do it.
But for me, there's a difference between fan fiction and here's my idea for an awesome movie.
I agree because I recently gone down a rabbit hole of watching people like talk movie pitches, particularly Max Landis, who
I will headbutt him in the mouth.
I know. I wanted to bait you a little bit by saying his name. Oh, that's a killer comment by Dave, who says that Ezra was channeling fucking Urkel of Jaleel White as Flash in Justice League. That is awesome, dude. He says Urkel.
No, it was so bad. Oh my.
And if DC does Hawkman right, it could be bigger than Thor. But they probably won't do it justice. Yes, I like the punnery on that. Yeah, I guess I could see Hawkman as this. Hawkman could be dope, maybe, if they did it right. Of like, I don't know a ton about Hawkman, but I could see like, does he have his own like home world or something? Hawkman?
It depends.
He's got a weird history, right?
It depends. They're either Egyptian or they're from Themyscira. It just depends on who wrote the book.
Right. I just know that I don't want to see Hawkman in modern day, like Metropolis or New York, mixing it up. But I could see like wherever the fuck he's from, Hawkworld. Some like ancient story of Hawkman doing his thing, like establish the whole movie like that, almost like the equivalent of a Thor in Asgard. And then, maybe at the very end, explain how he ended up with the Justice League or whatever. But Hawkman could be badass. He would definitely look visually stunning, I'm sure. Hawkman's a sick-looking character.
Martian Manhunter.
Even though I'd like to see him as I think Hawkman could potentially support his own movie. I don't know about Martian Manhunter doing that, though.
Yeah, good point.
But he's a cool-ass character, though.
Yeah, no.
I mean, put it this way. If we have to assemble the Justice League, right? We didn't rush into it. We were smart boys, right? We didn't rush into it. We made movies introducing all the characters first, right? And then we dropped our Justice League movie. And maybe we introduced like one extra character that didn't get his own flick to set him up. Like, what Justice League do you roll with? Do you put Cyborg in it?
No.
Cyborg's out, right?
I put Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I put Aquaman.
Sounds like you're a white supremacist to me, D-Ronk. That's a pretty whitewashed team, bro. What do you do about diversity?
I've casted both African American actors to play both Batman and Superman.
Good call. Good call. Phew, that was a close one. Glad you had a good answer.
Michael B. Jordan is playing both of them.
Oh, good. Oh, I got an idea. Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are Batman and Superman.
Dude, they're making a Bad Boys 3.
Hell yeah. Even though that was kind of jokey, I do actually think that, I don't know. I guess it should be taken into account, I suppose. At least get one brother in the mix. So that's why I think Batman's the Trinity, of course. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Jon Stewart as your Green Lantern. You have Hal Jordan doing his damn thing in the Green Lantern Corps movie. So he still exists, and he's a really fun character in that world. But for the sake of Green Justice League movies, Jon Stewart's your guy. Hal can pop in and out, whatever. But you got Jon Stewart. You got Flash. Flash has got to be in the Justice League. And then from there, did you say Hawkman? Who was your team again?
My ideal team.
Just those five?
Well, it's really more the Justice League from the animated series. So it has Hawk Girl, but you can't. It'd be hard to introduce Hawk Girl without Hawkman, like a Hawkman. Like, I don't know.
Well, you could though. If say we made our Hawkman movie first,
Yeah.
And Hawk Girl's introduced there. Let's go ideal. As long as we set it up properly, I think you can do just about anything. I think these Avengers movies have proven that to us. How many fucking characters are going to be in Endgame? Like, nuts. So it's not like there's really a limit to it. As long as it's set up, we just got to make 25 movies before, like Marvel did, and just be smart about it.
But that's not even a problem though, because all those movies were successful.
Right.
Even, like a couple of their low light ones, which there weren't many. They all of them they profited severely.
Just put one foot in front of the other, and the movie that's in front of you, try to make that as good of a goddamn movie as you can. And you can't get by just making like a fast food superhero movie where a CGI battle, whatever, just make it. You can't get away with that shit anymore. Of like, let's just get the heroes, do an origin, let's have them fight the bad guy. Done. People want more out of their superhero movies now.
And they need to have a consistent tone. They need to have a consistent Kevin Feige-like person that pretty much, gets the person writing the script and the director in the same room and say, listen, I don't care how you do it, but it needs to happen. This is what needs to happen with this movie. It needs to have this kind of tone. Go. Mm-hmm. And then, he checks back like 3 days later. What do you got so far? That's what I think makes Marvel so amazing right now is they've got one guy with a supreme vision directing everything that's happening around him, ensuring that, kind of like Steve Jobs with Apple. Like, he's not making the movies. Like, Steve Jobs did not build the iPhone, but Steve Jobs insisted on the iPhone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what these. If you're going to pull off a huge cinematic universe, you need something like that.
And they recently streamlined it too, where I was reading a few years back, like in the beginning, Kevin Feige actually used to answer to the head of Marvel, Marvel Entertainment, and then it would trickle up to Disney from there. But once a few movies, they got some of that initial success, Marvel Studios got definitively turned into its own subsidiary, and I guess there was some heat between Kevin Feige and some of the higher-ups at Marvel, and they made a separate subsidiary, and Marvel Studios is just its own autonomous thing. Feige goes directly to the head of Disney, and Marvel Entertainment, which runs like television, Netflix stuff, and the comic books, is like its own separate thing.
Yeah.
So Black Key Comics dropped his Justice League. Let's see. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Okay. We know we need the Trinity. And then from there, he went Hawkman, Flash, Vixen. He shouted out Vixen before. John Stewart, Green Lantern, The Atom, and Martian Manhunter. I think doable. I mean, The Atom. Yeah, I mean, why not The Atom? It's funny. I mean, it's funny that Marvel and DC have these characters that are swipes of each other. It'd be kind of weird at this point to have The Atom with Ant-Man. Not that I necessarily think one is cooler than the other per se, but I don't know. I feel like Ant-Man's kind of got dibs on that. Martian Manhunter, I agree, is interesting. The only thing is, we just got to make him. I would neuter his powers a little bit.
Yes,
because he's like Superman status. We got to be careful with that.
Yeah, having two Superman on your team is very tough. But I mean, then you can always hit him with that flamethrower, and he settles down pretty quick. So
yeah, I would like to see John Jones. Exceptionally strong, no doubt, but lean more into like his shape-shifting abilities. He's got a little telekinesis. I like to make him more of like a weird Martian dude, like a weird alien guy, versus a green Superman. I like making him a weird kind of telekinetic shapeshifter dude.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. That he has an interesting personality, and I think the reason why I gravitate towards him is he is very Superman like, and he's also the last of his kind, and
Hmm.
um,
He's got
but
his weakness.
yep. So yeah, Superman or Martian Manhunter, either one doesn't matter.
Yeah, just pick one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think we've covered a lot of ground here. I think we've been going for how long? Let's see if I can.
3
Couple of,
hours and 1 minute.
no, 2 hours.
3 hours and 1 minute.
Really, my thing says 1 hour 59 minutes.
Yeah, that's because it's a live stream. Once
Oh,
you end it, it'll start calculating how.
oh, right. It's 1 a.m. That's right. We started at
Yeah.
10. Well, Aquaman. That's right. We've been totally all these lineups, dude. We totally all ignored Aquaman.
I put Aquaman in there when you told me
You
I
did?
had picked an all-white league.
Oh, you did. That's right. I was so thrown off by your racism and your misogyny. I forgot. Oh man. Yeah, I guess Aquaman can stick around. He's cool. Just cut his hand off, give him a hook, and make him blonde, and I'll be fine.
Dude, the hook needs to happen.
Give him a fucking hook hand, dude.
Oh my god. I almost want a hook hand. Like, how badass would that be?
Yeah, I want a straight up gold harpoon ASAP on my hand.
Just imagine stabbing. Like it gets stuck in some dude's chest, and you gotta yank it off.
Yeah, man. Black Key Comics. Thanks for hanging out, dude. I always like your
all
input.
the way to the end, man.
Yeah, appreciate you, dude, big time. Yeah, the remaining, 9 or 10 folks in the room, appreciate you hanging out. Dave Martins. I threw the blue wrench on Dave Martins because he's the man.
Dude, what does the blue wrench even do? I never even threw one of them at someone.
Oh, yeah. Blue wrench, they can, basically the biggest thing is they can boot people from the chat for you.
Hell yeah.
So they're meant to, like, if someone's acting up in the chat room and you got your hands full, we don't get like huge turnout. When there's only like 10 people at a time, it's easier to manage, but at least someone's kind of got your back. That's the purpose anyway. If you got a bunch of people in there and you don't have to worry about it, someone can.
So when someone starts acting up, he can throw a wrench in their plans.
Ah, yes. He will throw a wrench in those plans.
Whatever happened to that P guy that was in here earlier?
I don't know. I think he's off to troll another page, apparently.
All right, but yeah, I think I've covered everything I need to cover tonight.
Yeah, you've been knighted, Dave. This is the internet's version of you being knighted.
Ooh.
Perry Comics, appreciate you hanging out, my brother. Yeah, we should. You know what? I like the idea of, because this is our third Friday that we've done this, and the first couple we've gone freestyle, which is fun, but I like this having a theme. Fave 5. Maybe we should come up with some future Fave 5.
Yes, dude, I got a ton of ideas.
Okay.
You can go with your top 5 favorite comic book stories for each character. You could do your top 5 favorite Marvel movies that are not in the cinematic universe. You could do in the cinematic universe. Like, it goes on for years. So, animated movies, dude, we could at least power through an easy 50 episodes. Not all in one night, but.
And if any of you true believers have suggestions, just post mail a recommendation to Comic Head headquarters 1211 New York Boulevard, and just put OK to print, and we will take it. Just kidding. You know what I was getting at that. I agree, man. I think, and you know what the good thing is? It's like, even if the whatever the top 5 thing isn't like a super electrifying topic, it's just a good starting point so that it's not completely freestyle of like, so what's up? It's gonna, we've talked about a bunch of shit this evening.
Well, the freestyle was a good way for us to get our beak wet with the live stream.
Yeah,
we talked about anything and everything, and now structuring it a little bit just to make sure that we still probably ramble plenty, but it keeps us a little more on the road, instead of in the curb or in the ditch.
Yeah, and I think a good, like, the way we should do it, and maybe like knock out the top 5. Not like super quick or anything, but just that's going to be the first order of business. Like, I think the way I see it is, say people come in and check us out. There'll be a portion of the people that just want to see the top 5 list, hang out for 30 minutes maybe, and then peace out, cool. And then we should almost have like a secondary segment for the homies that want to hang out for a while and just kick it for the evening, and it will for more of like a 2-3 hour hangout. We can get that more into like the other topics that we went to, like, okay, now what are the worst? What are the ones you'd like to see? And then get into more freestyle, engage the chat more from there. But maybe just knock out that first 5. Make a point to do that in the first 30 minutes for the folks that I just saw.
I'll set a timer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep us on track.
Yeah. Cool.
Hey, I like it. It's a plan.
And we can start to get little special guests. People can join us,
Next week, featuring Burke Nasty 54. I don't even know it
yet. Seems like you did. Yeah. And I wasn't able to get in touch with Most Wanted this time around, but I'm sure he'll join us sometime soon. Also, I really like hanging out with him. And maybe we can even, and don't worry, Dave, I'll try and sneak in an old school pro wrestling top 5 in this mix sometime soon too.
Hell yeah. Hey, just so everyone knows, next Friday I will be unavailable. It is my birthday, and I will be off doing stuff. So,
D-Rump's B-Day.
Dude, it only comes around once in a while when you get a birthday on a Friday. So I gotta go do something extra special.
Yeah, buddy. Cool. Have a good time.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right. I think that's a wrap.
That's a wrap, y'all. Thanks for hanging out. We wrapped up with 6 people in the room, 6 people hanging out with us till the bitter end. We appreciate your companionship. And, yeah, man. Have a good evening.
And communication.
Over and out.